It is the unmistakable sound of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. As we look back to this day in 1989, that's right, it was December the 16th of 89, when Billy Joel went number one on the U.S. album chart with his 11th studio release. It was called Stormfront, and the album featured one of Billy Joel's 3 number one hits, which was the one you just heard. We Didn't Start the Fire. A number one hit from the number one album, Stormfront, which reached the top of the U.S. album charts on this day in 1989. 36 years ago. Quick math. I think it checks out. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Welcome to the show for this Tuesday morning. Really appreciate you stopping by, spending some of your time with us. I don't say it as often as I should, so please let me say it now and let it stand. Really do appreciate the time that you spend with us every day, whether it's 4 minutes or the full 4 hours, because we are here every day from 9 until 1. And conversations are always more entertaining and interesting when they are two-way. We'll bring you guests throughout the day, but you know that your voice is always welcome on the show. Phone lines open the minute we start every day. 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. Email inbox is always there as well, mike@570news.com. You might want to use that to send in your requests for All Request Friday this week. Let's take care of a couple of pieces of housekeeping here as we get the show underway today. I don't think it will surprise you, as Friday is the last Friday we have together before the Christmas break, that we'll have an All Request theme on Friday of Christmas songs. What is your favorite Christmas song? And if you want to tell us that, we'll play a bit of it for you on All Request Friday this week. I have a feeling, because this theme is always very popular, we might get even more songs than we can possibly play on Friday, but don't you worry about it, as my good friend Mikey the Moose Reeves would say.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, because I are going to be here next week, Monday and Tuesday. So what I'm thinking, especially looking at Monday and Tuesday being the 22nd and 23rd next week, we're going to have some time. It's going to be like a holiday-themed couple of days before we take a break, Christmas Eve, then right through the new year, and we'll come back in the first full week of January on, I believe, January the 5th. But we're here until the 23rd. So any residual requests from Friday will carry over into Monday and Tuesday next week, when we have a Christmas vibe. I might even decorate more of the studio. I'll think about that. I'm having friends come over on Saturday night. Maybe we'll all come over here after we've had a few wobbly pops and decorate in a drunken state. See what it looks like on Monday morning. Anyway, All Request Friday this week will be Christmas music. Want a little bit of your favorite Christmas song played? We will do that for you on Friday, and we'll carry it over into Monday and Tuesday, because it's usually so popular. And that means just all the more time, all the more opportunity for you to hear a little bit of your favorite Christmas song. Drop me an email, mike@570news.com, or when you call in to talk to us about the issues of the day, or you just want to call and talk to Jen, she's the one working on the other side of the glass today, just let Jen know. This is the Christmas song I would like to hear on All Request Friday this week. We are also going to be starting tomorrow, because, again, we're into that time of the year, sharing with you a series of year-end conversations with local leaders. So the mayors of each of our cities, Cambridge, Kitchener, and Waterloo, will be featured. Our regional chair will be featured. We have even gone to the extent of adding in provincial party leaders. Mike Schreiner from Guelph will join us. Marit Stiles, who is the leader of Ontario's NDP, will join us. I have made the request to the Premier's office. I have not heard back, just so you know the request was made. And I know I had to draw the line. I don't mean to be dismissive of our townships, but there's only so much time. I say this sometimes, I got 4 hours every day to talk and talk and talk. But anyway, I drew the line at the cities and the regional chair. If you have a complaint and or criticism about that, I'm always here for it. I understand. I'm always looking for your feedback. But that's what you'll hear when it comes to year-end conversations. Our local mayors from the cities, our regional chair, and the leaders of both the provincial Greens and NDP will join us for these year-end conversations. Just going back to that feedback and or criticism, constructive or otherwise, last piece of housekeeping I will share with you this morning because I want you to know about it. On Thursday, our Talkback Hour is going to be reserved for what I'm referring to as a Roast the Host hour here on the show. It occurred to me when we got a call some weeks ago from a gentleman who was not thrilled with the evening programming we did here on the station. Now, look, I am responsible for very little, believe you me. They give me my 4 hours, which is a lot, okay? And I am directly responsible for everything that happens on this station between 9 and 1. That I can promise you. They give me a whole lot of latitude. So from 9 until 1, anything you want specifically answered, I can answer that because I'm directly responsible for it. Beyond that, I mean, I'll help you the best I can. But the idea is just to take your feedback and maybe look at ways that we can improve for the year ahead, that I can improve. What can I do better for you? What am I really doing that chafes your chaps? You're going to get the chance to air it all out on Thursday during our Talkback Hour. It is the Roast the Host hour from noon until 1. I'm going to bring a little, I don't know, suit of armor with me, and I'm ready. Go ahead. I'm going to thicken my skin, toughen myself up like a $3 schnitzel, and you can have your grievances aired on the show Thursday from noon until 1. Okay? All right. So, All Request Friday, Christmas Songs edition. Year-end interviews with local and provincial leaders coming up starting tomorrow through the end of our time together on the 23rd. And Roast the Host on Thursday from noon until 1. I will have my tin suit of armor ready to go. Just before your Farwell Show 5 this morning, our buddy Doug is with us on the phone. Wait a minute. Is it Doug Ford? Is he calling in now, answering my request for a year-end interview?
I don't think so.
Oh, Douglas. All right. Well, why don't you pretend? Call me like you're a champion and tell me I'm the greatest guy in the world, whatever. Anyway. Hi, Doug.
Well, hey, I have no trouble doing that. I mean, you give us all promotion and publicity for free, for heaven's sakes. Why wouldn't I think you're the greatest guy in the world?
Yeah, I love you, Dougie. I love you, buddy.
You know something, Mike? Did I wake up on the wrong side of reality this week, or what?
What do you mean?
I cannot believe the stuff that's going on in this world this close to the most special time of the year. I mean, I had lots of times there was differences with my mom, but I would never think of taking her life. I have lots of people who are different religions than me, and I would never think of shooting them just because of how they worship. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And well, Silent Night. I already talked to Jen. Silent Night is my favorite Christmas carol, and one of these days I'm going to get a chance to tell you why. Because there's a hell of a story involved with it. But anyway, Well,
hey, hang on, Doug. You can't leave me hanging like that.
No. Well, okay, I'll give it to you in a nutshell, like I did her. I like to tell this story when I sing the song Silent Night. A long time ago, when I was just growing up, we lost power Christmas Eve. My mother had every candle in the house lit. I mean everything. A good friend of ours came to the door to thank her for her help and guidance when he became an ordained minister. And he sat in that living room, that candlelight, and he shared the story of the first Christmas with us, my sister and brother. And it was really, really a truly silent night. And the story of the carol itself from 1812, 160 some odd years, 400 countries and languages. If that's not the glory of God at work, I don't know what is, because it's my favorite song, always will be.
It's a beautiful story. I'm glad you shared that. Thanks, buddy.
Okay. You have a good day.
Thanks. You too. Drive safe out there. See, hey, listen, that's what a medium like this is all about. Storytelling, sharing. And we'll be doing a lot of that for sure next Monday and Tuesday. This is just what I envision anyway. Being here. I was supposed to be on holidays, but I gave those holidays back so I could spend more time with you. So I can just envision you going out and getting last minute things done. So we'll weave a little bit of the holidays into everything we do next Monday and Tuesday. To Doug's initial point, though, did he wake up on the wrong side of the universe or whatever with what's going on in the world? We're going to get to that in just a moment after our Farwell Show 5 this morning, specific to the President of the United States, because it is my contention this morning that even if you were among those who said that you support and or like Donald Trump because of this, that, or the other thing, and that's fine. Like, you are absolutely welcome to do that. But surely to goodness, you are now withdrawing that support. For whatever reason you were giving him support, you have now withdrawn it based on his commentary following the murders of Rob Reiner and his wife, right? But we'll get to that. First things first on the show, as always.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10.
It is your Farwell Show 5 for this Tuesday morning, the 16th of December. Number one, it is a big, and I do mean big, budget day for Regional Council. Almost 36 amendments to the proposed 2026 budget are being brought forward, including an ask for funds for a warming center for women in Cambridge, a pilot project providing free transit to seniors 1 day per week, and a request for a lower-cost police communications center. That project currently comes in at more than $170 million. The region is hoping to bring in a tax increase of no greater than 5%. I believe they started meeting at 9. Could be 9:30, but I think 9. So they got their coffee. They got their little pastry. They're sitting down to work. Over, under on the length of the meeting today, like this sucker's going a dozen hours, isn't it? They're there till at least 9 o'clock tonight. That's my guess. It's a big day at Regional Council. Number two, Kitchener City Council has approved the Missing Middle and Affordable Housing Community Improvement Plan. Well, what is this, you ask? I'm glad you asked that. First off, it's supported by more than $6 million in funding federally from the Housing Accelerator Fund. What the Missing Middle and Affordable Housing Community Improvement Plan does is introduces a couple of grants from the City of Kitchener. One is an additional dwelling units grant, which promotes affordable, energy-efficient, and accessible housing. The other is the Missing Middle Affordable Housing Grant, which supports affordable units in mixed-use and multi-dwelling buildings up to 8 stories. The plan targets at least 98 new units by October of 2026, so about 10 months. Time is ticking. Number three, on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, the doors to a Kitchener public school will be open today after a bomb threat yesterday. No word yet, though, on arrests or suspects. Waterloo Regional Police are still investigating the alleged threat made towards Cortland Avenue Public School yesterday. Just over 200 students and staff were evacuated over the noon hour as officers searched the grade 7 and 8 school on, obviously, Cortland Avenue. Nothing was found. They were back in class later that afternoon. Number four, as respiratory illness season takes hold, hospitals across Waterloo and Wellington regions are reminding residents that simple prevention measures can help protect community health and reduce growing pressure on local emergency departments. Hospitals are urging the public to receive vaccinations, wash hands frequently, wear a mask when appropriate, and stay home when unwell to help limit the spread of respiratory illness. You are encouraged to visit knowyourcareoptions.ca for guidance, resources, and a listing of local healthcare partners. That is knowyourcareoptions.ca. And number five, on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, a Cambridge business is hosting a free, that's right, FREE, free holiday lunch on Thursday. soup, sandwiches, and drinks will be served up at no cost at the Galt Legion on Veterans Way from 11 until 1 on Thursday. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Tuesday morning.
Holy mackerel!
Oh, how about that, Joe Bowen? Anyway, going to get recognized for 44 years of play-by-play service before the Leafs game tonight. I always remember Don Cameron, but I'm just a broadcaster, he said. What a guy that Don Cameron was. I remember, I won't even get into all those stories. There was a night, just quick, I promise. But there was a night, there was a plan to recognize Don Cameron before a Kitchener Rangers game. And then Don got wind of the plan. And let me just tell you what happened then. There was no recognition of Don Cameron that night before the game. Oh, but I'm just a broadcaster, he said. I'm happy for Joe. I really am. I mean, he's done this for 44 years. He's as passionate a Leaf fan as anybody. He's a darn fine broadcaster, as was Don Cameron. All of those things apply to Don, too. But don't you dare try to recognize Don Cameron for his achievements. Oh, I loved that man. I really, really did. Okay, I alluded to this a moment ago. I'm going to get more direct about it right now. And I've heard from you at various times on this show over the years, going back to 2016 and continuing in this most recent term of Donald Trump's presidency, that you like and or support Donald Trump for various reasons. And that's okay. You know what? You are allowed to. Tens of millions of Americans are in the same boat as you if you support Donald Trump because they voted for him. But surely to goodness now, you are withdrawing that support, right? Because I don't even know how to describe the complete and utter lack of not just compassion, but humanity from the President of the United States when, upon learning about the death of Rob Reiner and his wife, Donald Trump takes to social media and talks about the mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. And I get it. If you're supporting Donald Trump or you think that anybody that invokes the name is suffering from some sort of derangement, that's fine. Cute, ha-ha, okay. It's kind of like fringe minority, right? So go ahead and have at it with Trump derangement syndrome. But the President of the United States actually decided that the anger that Rob Reiner caused others because of his Trump derangement syndrome led to his death. Just let that sink in for a moment if it hasn't already. So surely, if you had supported Donald Trump before, for whatever reason you were supporting him, you can't possibly now. Jimmy Kimmel put it pretty well last night.
Insulting someone who's just been murdered, it's so hateful and vile. Even for him, that seemed like too much, but nothing is ever too much for him.
Nothing is ever too much for him. I know that now, though, that this is too much for you, right? Support withdrawn. This is the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Let me let you in on this little joke, okay? Last week, I was did you notice that I was gone for like 4 seconds? Okay, it was a little more than 4. It was probably close to 30, but not one single commercial played, which maybe means they're trying to tell me something here at the radio station. Farwell, you no longer have the support of your longstanding partners. This might be my last day on the job, but here's the inside joke. Last week, while away on the road with the Kitchener Rangers, I worked from the road, was able to do a show from the Sioux last Wednesday, from Flint last Friday. I came down for lunch on Friday. No, it was Saturday morning breakfast. Either way, the running joke was that they can't possibly live without the Farwell show on the station. We have to satisfy sponsors. We have to earn money, et cetera, et cetera. And then while at breakfast on Saturday morning, one of the staff members with the team said, are you working today? I said, hey, settle down. It's Saturday, last time you checked. I will be working the hockey game. We were in Saginaw that day on Saturday night, but I'm not doing a show on Saturday. And he joked. So that's right. They're just going to play commercials all day. It's going to be an all-commercial day on 570 News Radio in honor of the strength of the Mike Farwell show. We're going to put commercials on all day. And now here I get this morning, and there ain't no commercials. The joke's on me. The joke is on me. I think we're going to get that remedied because we do still have longstanding partners on this show, and we appreciate them as much as we appreciate you. Thank you very much for being here. Back to the point I was making just a brief time ago. Surely to goodness, if there was any support that you did have for one Mr. Donald J. Trump, for whatever reason, you like his business mind, you like his ability to make deals, you like the way he stands up to protect the United States, whatever he's getting stuff done. I've heard all of these things from you, but surely to goodness, after that reaction to Rob Reiner and his wife's death, their murder, and his response to it, surely now, you, being the human being that you are, have withdrawn that support, right? There's no more. Like, we draw a line somewhere. Many of us drew it a long time ago, but the rest of us are now drawing that line, I'm certain. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Not only Jimmy Kimmel, who I played a little bit ago, was after the president on his talk show last night, but Seth Meyers weighed in as well.
What a terrible time we live in, where these are thoughts that rationally come into one's head. And what a good time it would be to have a leader with a moral compass.
All you had to do was not say anything. You remember that lesson we got when we were kids from our parents? If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. That would be okay as a way to approach this. Now, not connected to the president's post online following the death of Rob Reiner and his wife, but still connected to the frosty relationship between Canada and the United States. Ontario Premier Doug Ford was yesterday in Niagara Falls announcing a big deal for tourism. They're going to build more casinos. It's pretty fantastic because that's what Niagara Falls needs, right? More casinos. They've already got 2, don't they? Anyway, big plans for tourism in Niagara Falls. And then, of course, when the scripted part is done, the questions start getting asked. And our premier is never short on words and or opinions. And he had this to say about heading back to Florida as a snowbird like he does for every winter since goodness knows when.
It's going to be the first time I'm not going to Florida. But I talk to so many people. Don't let this guy, Trump, determine and ruin your life and everything. That's my personal choice. Maybe some families have gone to Florida their whole lives. Go to Florida. You know, that's great. But I encourage you to stay here and support local tourism. But you can't let the one tyrant change your lives, right? You just can't let it happen. I'm doing it out of my own personal choice because I just can't do it. But don't let this guy change your lives. If you go down, you see, you know, maybe their grandparents are down there. Maybe they're somewhere else.
I don't know how many of you have changed travel plans or even snowbirding plans in response to what's going on in the United States. But Ontario Premier Doug Ford says, that's it. I'm done with you, Florida. And then Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who might just have aspirations to the Oval Office as the next Republican nominee. Who knows? But Florida Governor Ron DeSantis kind of clapped back at Premier Ford, said, Thanks for not coming, but our tourism industry is doing just fine, by the way. We just finished a record quarter of more than 34 million visitors in the second quarter of 2025. So take whichever grain of salt you would like, from the Premier of Ontario to the Governor of Florida. I am going to send you to the 570 News Center to get an update, and then we are going to talk about the region's water woes. But how much do we really know about them, and what should we know about them? That conversation is coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. We know a couple of things. We know that there is a water issue here in the region of Waterloo. We know that that water issue is with regard to the quantity of the water we have available, not the quality of what's coming out of our taps. Everything, as far as that is concerned, is just fine. And we also know that now that this problem has been identified, there will be an extensive third-party review to determine, one would suppose, how we got here with this water quantity issue, and, I think more to the point, what it is we're going to do about it. I think that would be a fair summation of what we know. But that probably begs the question, should we know more at this point? And I think that's what local advocacy groups are trying to get at. I'm joined on the phone this morning by Sam Nabby, who's the director of Hold the Line WR. Sam, good morning.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks very much for making the time and advocating on this issue. Just going back to the summary I shared, would that about cover the basis of what we do know?
Just about. We don't know a whole lot from the region's original press release from December 4th, and I know that staff have been speaking to media over the last week, but we still are in the dark about a lot of details of how we got to this point. In general, planning for water capacity is a very, very long-term game. It's something that the development is staged decades out into the future. So for any of this to be a surprise is extremely concerning.
When you first heard the news going back a couple of weeks, what did you think? What was your reaction to it?
I was shocked. Waterloo Region is known for being experts in water management, and we rely on groundwater more than any other municipality in Ontario. About 80% of our water comes from the ground, and the other 20% comes from the Grand River. And we've built the knowledge through our universities and our expertise in municipal government here to manage that resource. So it wasn't just Hold the Line, which I'm a part of, that got together and wanted to demand more clarity on what's going on. We had a coalition of groups come together, other environmental groups like Grand River Environmental Network, Nath Valley Eco Boosters, Water Watchers, and then also groups like the Indigenous Land-Based Stewardship Guild, Red Osier Guild, Strong Towns Waterloo Region, and Waterloo Region Yes in My Backyard. So it's a real broad coalition of groups here that are looking for answers. Yeah,
and it's great to have that coalition coming together in this way and advocating, as I mentioned a moment ago. When you talk about that clarity that you're seeking here, Sam, what's missing?
So in the original press release from the region of Waterloo, they mention a capacity issue within the Mannheim service area. Now, the Mannheim service area is not a word that the region has ever used in their water master plans, and I couldn't find any mention of it in previous communications on their website. So the current water supply master plan talks about an integrated urban system. Mannheim service area, as far as they're talking about it right now, covers Kitchener and Waterloo, parts of the north end of Cambridge, Elmira, St. Jacobs. But we're supposed to have an integrated urban system together with all of Cambridge, and the ability to pump water between different pressure zones in that system, and it was designed to be able to meet the needs wherever they occur. So the fact that this term has not shown up before is concerning. So all we can do is look at the Mannheim water treatment plant, which exists on the west side of Kitchener with the border of Wilmot. And that draws water from our Waterloo moraine on the west side of Kitchener and Waterloo and from the Grand River. But this new term, Mannheim Service Area, I think that's really where I started digging and trying to understand what do they mean by this and why are we not talking about this integrated urban system.
When it comes to the third-party review that the region says will now be conducted, what does that suggest to you when you hear that a third-party review is now required?
A third-party review just raises the stakes of how serious of an issue this is. First of all, I am supportive of the review, and we definitely need to get a detailed look at what has happened and what we can do in the future. But I also wonder if the region can provide more information while that review is going on. Regional staff are regular commenters and reviewers on all development applications, new permits for new subdivisions, et cetera. And their engineers have been reviewing whether development should be appropriate or not and when it should come online as part of their day-to-day tasks for decades. And so, again, for this to be kind of a surprise that they can't tell us any more information, that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, and while I always support the idea of a fresh set of eyes, so to speak, I did worry a little bit that the need for a third-party review suggested we might be lacking the expertise internally. I don't know. That's just something that it indicated to me. In the meantime, Sam, and you mentioned the groups that you are advocating alongside: Water Watchers, Strong Towns, Waterloo Region, Yes in My Backyard, the Grand River Environmental Network. Yes. What is it that you would like to see the region do as we embark on this third-party review?
We have a few calls to action for all levels of government, so that the region, we call on them to disclose any more information that they have about the nature of this water capacity issue, when it was first identified, and how it impacts each part of this integrated urban system that we've been using as our plan for years and years. We also see a link here between the region's land assembly and Wilmot. We know that any development happening on this mega industrial site will have serious implications for water use, and that is something that's quite close to the Mannheim treatment plant and the wells in that area. So does this mean we need to reevaluate what happens on that land? For aside from all the other reasons that fight for farmland and the other groups that have been advocating on this issue for so long, if this is a serious water concern, let's refocus and recommit to long-term agricultural use of those lands.
Have you had, I know your media release only came out yesterday, so this is early hours, but have you or any of the other organizations advocating here had any conversations to date with the region or regional officials?
No, we have not. We have not heard back. We did send this yesterday, as you said, to all elected officials at both levels of our municipal government, so as well as our provincial MPPs in the region. There is a lot of provincial things that could be done in this case as well. One of the issues, especially around that Wilmot line area, is aggregate mining for gravel in our rural townships. So the province has allowed us to dig under the water table for gravel mines, and those are regulations that, again, we're calling on the province to walk back and to issue a moratorium on all new aggregate mines before that, until we get more clarity on what's happening here.
Sam, I appreciate the time you've made for us on the show today and the advocacy that you and your colleagues are undertaking in this regard. Thanks very much for joining the show.
Thank you.
Sam Nabby is the director of Hold the Line WR. Hold the Line, along with the Grand River Environmental Network, Strong Towns, Waterloo Region, Water Watchers, and Waterloo Region, Yes in My Backyard, or YIMBY, are calling for a number of things in the wake of the news shared by the region a couple of weeks ago. And can I just come back to this? Because I have got the biggest burr in my saddle. Like, it's actually uncomfortable for me to sit right now. The way that the region, and I brought this up before, and I feel like I'm screaming into the wind, and I don't like it when I feel like I'm screaming into the wind. But this is not how you communicate with the public. It's not how you do things. The last number of times our regional government has had news to share around the Wilmot Land Assembly, for example, now with this water issue, they call in or they schedule meetings with media outlets individually and sit down with them one-on-one. What are you doing that for? You know what you should do? This is what you should do. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again because now I'm getting fired up. You hold a media conference. It's not hard. We've done it before. And by the way, you live stream that media conference, or at least record it so it can be posted on your website so that Joe and Jane Public, who are too busy working to put food on the table in the middle of the day, can go back and watch it later, because this is where the real good stuff happens, right? You share the information, and then the media collectively gets the chance to ask questions. And then we all get to listen and see how you respond to those questions. It might not be the most comfortable thing. Well, guess what? It's not the most comfortable thing that we have a water supply issue suddenly in the region. But I'm begging you, region of Waterloo, stop holding media availabilities this way. It's not right. It's not even a little bit right. There is expertise in local media that is greater in some areas than in others, right? One media outlet might have somebody far more experienced than another media outlet. And when you hold a media conference, all of those really experienced and somewhat less experienced people can be together in the same place. And then you know what happens? Those somewhat less experienced people gain experience by listening to and watching how those more experienced people do their jobs. And that's good for everybody, because it's going to continue then the process of growth within our local media, who are here to hold you to account. Don't call us in individually. Hold a media conference and stream it. It's 2025, for crying out loud. Oh, I'm so annoyed by it. I'm so annoyed. I'm going to keep beating this drum until this burr is out from under my saddle. Goodness gracious me. Sorry. That was a slight digression from what we're talking about here. But the gist of it is, as you know, this water supply issue having been identified, the third-party review that is now underway to determine the extent of the problem and get us working towards solutions. How did we get here? And I've been talking to a lot of people in the past couple of weeks. There are two things that have been made pretty clear to me from a number of sources. One is we do seem to be lacking the expertise internal to our region of Waterloo, our regional government. The person who would have been responsible for this file is no longer with the region. The job posting as of several days ago was up. For the region was looking to fill the position that would be responsible for overseeing this issue, which leads me to ask the question then, was the previous person in that position dismissed, and or did they resign based on what they knew was coming here? I'm curious about that. But the fact is, the person whose job it is to manage this file is no longer with the region of Waterloo. You can decide for yourself how you feel about that. But that's one thing that has been made clear to me over the past couple of weeks in numerous conversations. The internal expertise may not be there. The other thing that has been made pretty darn clear to me over the past couple of weeks is that we may have lost sight of the importance of this very precious resource, as you heard Sam allude to. And if you've been living in this community for 5 minutes, you know how proud we are of our sustainable development practices, our groundwater sources that continue to provide and provide beautifully for this community, right? We hold this as a badge of honor, but it's been made pretty clear to me from multiple sources over the last number of weeks that we may have taken our eye off the ball and put too many eggs in the economic development basket and focused on that because we're going to be 1 million people in 30 years. We're going to need employment opportunities. We're going to need condominium towers for them to live in, right? And I get that. I do. I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't think we were. I think we spent too much time and energy on one thing and not enough time and energy on another. That's what I've learned from conversations over the past couple of weeks. Sam with Hold the Line WR and those other organizations are calling on the region to disclose the nature of the water capacity issue, when it was first identified and how it impacts each part of our urban area, to end the land assembly in Wilmot and commit to long-term agricultural use of those lands, calling on the province to issue the moratorium on new aggregate mines, calling on area municipalities to pause new approvals for all new plans of subdivision and development applications in designated greenfield areas, and calling on area municipalities to implement official plan policies that protect groundwater recharge areas. Those are the calls from these environmental groups. What do you think of those calls to action and where we're at with water in the region of Waterloo? Phone lines are always open to you on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
All we can do is look at the Mannheim water treatment plant, which exists on the west side of Kitchener with the border of Wilmot, and that draws water from our Waterloo moraine on the west side of Kitchener and Waterloo and from the Grand River. But this new term, Mannheim Service Area, I think that's really where I started digging and trying to understand what do they mean by this and why are we not talking about this integrated urban system.
Sam Nabby is the director of Hold the Line WR, one of several local environmental organizations advocating to the region to shed a little bit more light on these water woes that suddenly appeared a couple of weeks ago. Let's go to the phones and hear from you on this. Bob, good morning.
Hey, my favorite know-it-all nephew. How you doing, Mikey?
I'm all right.
A while.
It has been.
All last summer, I know. I missed Preston Paul, too, eh?
Oh, gosh.
That's sad.
Yeah, it sure is. Rest in peace, our good friend.
Yep. Anyways, getting back to this water shortage. Any of these construction companies that do reconstruction of the roads and everything else, they waste so much water. We had the reconstruction down here in downtown Hespeler, right, Queen and Cooper. The water ran, Mike, I kid you not, all last summer. 24 hours a day, the water ran so much that it stained our brand new asphalt job we did in our parking lot. And I called the city, I bet you, I don't know how many times about this. I said, guys, you're wasting so much water. But it's happening everywhere with these construction companies.
Well, and I think, I'm hoping that was non-potable. I really am. But I do think development and our insistence on grow, it's got to be, it doesn't happen overnight. But I got to think those pressures are part of this. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. I believe that you hit the nail right on the head that some of these smaller municipalities and the region do not have the technical expertise to do the planning that is required. I don't know where we get it from. I've especially noticed this since I've been living up here in Bruce County with some of these smaller townships. If you only have a township of 10,000 people, you're not going to have the technical expertise on your engineering staff and your planning staff. I used to have an old boss when he talked about planning in organization, and he used to say the P was silent in the word planning, because it looks like there's no integrated plan, Mike, here that consolidates all the factors that need to go into the planning. As you said, there's been a focus on economic growth, but I don't think all the facts were taken into consideration. That's my thought, sir.
Thanks, Mike. Good to hear from you today. I'm going to squeeze in one more. Kathy, I'm really short of time, though. 30 seconds.
I can make it quick.
Okay.
Grand River Environmental Network has been talking forever about growth on the moraine for the recharge area, number one. Number two, I lived in that southwest corner of Kitchener. About 15 years ago, the region put a lot of water well testing pipes in. When I called them about it, because I was on a well, I was worried about them draining my water supply. And they said all they were doing was testing the water pressure and the water quantity at that time. Talking to neighbors that are still living there now, they said there's an awful lot more action around those test water pipes now than there ever was before.
Well, I'm not surprised by that, because that seems to be the area where the problem exists. Got to run for time. This is the Mike Farwell Show. Good conversation. 570 News Radio, Rogers TV. Just as we began our show today, we got a phone call from Doug, who wondered what side of the world he had woken up on, because everything seems to be upside down at a time of the year when it should be anything but. And, of course, Doug was referring to not just the horrible tragedy that is the death of Rob Reiner and his wife, but also the seemingly senseless and now described as a terror attack on folks worshiping, celebrating Hanukkah on Bondi Beach in Australia. The impact is felt the world round, including here in the region of Waterloo, where just on Sunday night, within hours, we woke up Sunday to the news of what happened in Australia, and the menorah was illuminated in Waterloo's public square on Sunday evening. Rabbi Moshe Goldman joins me on the show this morning to talk more about it. Rabbi Goldman, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for making the time at what I'm sure is a difficult time. And, you know, it occurs to me, Rabbi, as we begin this conversation, isn't that usually when I'm calling you, when things are difficult and we're dealing with another issue just like this? Are you exhausted by it?
It's a little bit frustrating, to say the least. First of all, I'd love to hang out with you anytime, but it is frustrating. Some people are surprised. I don't think anybody in our community is surprised anymore. There have been warning signs for a while. We have some very disturbing trends in our society that are allowed to go unchallenged and unchecked, and this is the result. But you know, ultimately, as I mentioned on Sunday, law enforcement, government, they all have their role. Most of us are not law enforcement or government. And as Viktor Frankl wrote, we always have a choice in how to respond. And that's what we need to focus on. And that's where we are guiding our community.
Was there any consideration at all on Sunday, after you wake up to the news from Australia, of not following through with the planned menorah lighting on Sunday evening?
No, we never had a thought like that. And I spoke with the police early in the day and confirmed that, you know, we had to go ahead on their end. And they gave the green light, and they didn't see any reason to change the plan. And I think we had a little bit of a bigger turnout. A number of people told me on Sunday night that they hadn't planned on coming. that they changed their minds and decided to come because of the attack in Australia. So, no, there's no question that, the goal of terror is to terrorize you. So if you allow it to terrorize you and change your plans, then terror wins. And if you're not terrorized and you're not intimidated, then terror loses. So we feel that at least in our community here, we've delivered a loss for the goals of terrorism. We have to stick at it.
What is the significance, Rabbi Goldman, of having a public menorah like the one that sits in Waterloo Public Square?
Sure. I mean, look, the whole story of Hanukkah is a story of a particular government power trying to oppress the Jewish people in their homeland of Israel and eradicate their faith and their freedom and force them to live a certain lifestyle. It wasn't a typical story of let's kill the Jews. It was really a culture war of erasure. It ended in a war, but it didn't start that way. And that's the message of Hanukkah really is nobody can take your individuality, your freedom, your faith away from you by force. The whole idea of Hanukkah is a response to a forced, oppressive attempt to erase your identity. I think every single person in the world, every decent person, would like to see freedom of conscience and freedom of expression and freedom of religion and all that for every individual. So we believe it's a universal message. We're certainly not out there proselytizing for people to convert to Judaism. That isn't the point at all. But it's a major push to promote that message of freedom and individuality and the freedom of conscience. And no one should be oppressed or forced to think or behave a certain way. And we want everybody to have that freedom.
It has been documented, the rise in anti-Semitism here in Canada and in other parts of the world over the last 12 to 24 months. How would you like to see us as communities respond to that?
Respond to the anti-Semitism?
Yes.
I think the only real response is to reverse it. Statements, hatred has no place here and all that. That doesn't do anything for the victims of anti-Semitism or any hatred, and it certainly doesn't do anything for the haters. But I think the reversal of any hatred, you have to practice the exact opposite if you want to do something. So anyone who cares about the impact of anti-Semitism or the impact of any racism or any form of hatred, think about what the haters are trying to achieve and then do the exact opposite. But it takes an action of doing something proactive in the opposite direction to really have an effect, first of all, on the targets of the hatred, and also in society to demonstrate that this is really unaccepted. If you try to do this, we as a society are going to do the exact opposite. So every time you try to hate this group, just know that the end result, the net result, will be the exact opposite. You try to marginalize, we will include. You try to discredit, we will respect in practical, tangible ways. That's the biggest repudiation of anti-Semitism and any hatred, in my opinion.
How has, and I recognize, Rabbi Goldman, you don't speak for every member of our Jewish community, but there is a large Jewish community here in our region. I'm sure you would talk to many of them through your work. How is the community doing lately?
Sure. And as you mentioned, I don't pretend to speak for almost anybody. But I can tell you there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of emotion. Definitely a very common feeling is being rattled and being shaken. Everybody is very disturbed. But for better or worse, our community, it's not our first rodeo. And we've had, thank God, the last couple generations, a pretty good run in North America, but everybody's got a grandparent or even a parent who came out of, either Nazi oppression and hatred in the Holocaust or communist oppression when they were persecuting religion and Judaism in Russia, or anti-Semitism somewhere else in the world. And we all have it in our blood. We all have it in our genes. So we've all been there, done that. And even to live through vicariously events lately, our enemies are very clever. They attack us on our holidays. For the last few years, that's what's happened. There was an attack on Yom Kippur in Manchester this year. October 7th attack was Simchat Torah, was one of the greatest holidays in the Jewish calendar. And here you have an attack on Hanukkah. I'm sure it's deliberate. I'm sure it's designed to terrorize to the max. The net result is more Jewish pride. The net result is more Jewish activity. I can't tell you how many people in the community have told me over the last few years that they felt the need to identify more strongly and practice more consistently their Jewish faith. As a result, a direct result of all the hatred and all the anti-Semitism and all the nonsense that's been spewed at the Jewish community.
I certainly appreciate that perspective. And my commitment to you is we will just hang out, okay? Instead of me calling on you in these darker times to get a response to it. I would look forward to that.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Rabbi Goldman.
Thank you, Mike.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Bye. Rabbi Moshe Goldman is the director of the Rohr Chabad Center for Jewish Life in Waterloo Region, and makes it clear the response from those, because again, he will not pretend to speak for anyone but himself, but clearly as a rabbi and the director of the Rohr Chabad Center for Jewish Life in Waterloo Region, would have conversations with other members of our Jewish community and what he is hearing across that spectrum. And the response is we are even more resolute now in our faith. The attacks do seem, and he points to the holidays on the calendar when these attacks have been occurring. The most recent, of course, on Sunday. And even though we woke up to that news in this part of the world on Sunday morning, the lighting of that menorah went ahead as scheduled on Sunday evening in Waterloo. And I don't want to dismiss, by the way, the other municipalities that are engaged in this. It's not just a public menorah lighting event in Waterloo. Cambridge has done one as well. Kitchener will be this weekend. In Stratford later this week on Thursday. So Waterloo's just happened on the same day, which makes it timely, obviously. But the response is to stand even more strongly in support of your faith and promote that. Only with light can you drive out the darkness, to coin a phrase. How would you like to see us respond to what we are bearing witness to around the world? Is the best response, like I can't help but think it is, and if I can make it like super corny, but I just came across it on the weekend, so I'll make it super corny. The end of the movie Elf, forgive me, I know I'm making a Will Ferrell movie reference now on a very serious issue, but what brought back the Christmas spirit and allowed Santa's sleigh to fly was a group of people coming together and singing a Christmas song. So they collectively shared their spirit. If we collectively promote peace and love and harmony, etc., isn't that the best response to what we're seeing? Wouldn't we all like to be that 43-year-old, but that gentleman who intervened in that shooting in Australia? Pretty darn heroic stuff. But this has been clearly defined as and described as a terror attack. And as Rabbi Goldman shares with us this morning, it is with intent on the day that Hanukkah is being celebrated. How should we respond as a community to what we are seeing? Would love to get your perspective on that. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
I think every single person in the world, every decent person, would like to see freedom of conscience and freedom of expression and freedom of religion and all that for every individual. So we believe it's a universal message. We're certainly not out there proselytizing for people to convert to Judaism. That isn't the point at all. But it's a major push to promote that message of freedom and individuality and the freedom of conscience. And no one should be oppressed or forced to think or behave a certain way. And we want everybody to have that freedom.
Rabbi Moshe Goldman is the director of the Rohr Chabad Center for Jewish Life in Waterloo Region, joins us on the show this morning. to reflect on the events of 48 hours ago or so, and his insistence that we continue, even in the immediate hours after that tragedy in Australia, with the public lighting of the menorah in Waterloo's public square. I got to tell you, every time, and I've had a number of occasions over the years to have a conversation with Rabbi Goldman, and I continue to be so impressed with his demeanor, with his calm and thoughtful approach to things, and by his insistence that when we are facing terror, we will respond with love. It is so noble from where I'm standing. Because let me tell you, I mean, I was already getting fired up on the show earlier today for much less of a reason than Rabbi Goldman and any member of our local Jewish community could be in a state of agitation today. And yet his state seems to be perpetually calm and peaceful. I admire it greatly. I really do. And yet every time there's something amiss, who do I reach out to get the perspective of our local Jewish community? I really do have to take him up on that opportunity outside to just hang out a little bit. Somebody with a perspective like that would do a cranky old son of a gun like me a world of good. Nonetheless, let's get to the phones and hear from you. George in Cambridge, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. I agree with you 100%. I admire the man, just like you said. He's got some good qualities about him. And I hope he's still listening, because I want to let Rabbi Goldman know that most of the Christian community, which I'm part of, we stand with our Jewish friends. And I think it goes even outside the Christian community. I think most people stand with our Jewish friends.
George, I really appreciate that call and that sentiment. And I would concur when Doug called earlier this morning, right near the beginning of the show, and expressed the similar sentiment. Right? Why would I ever want to intrude on somebody's celebration of their own faith? And I've been thinking an awful lot about the need to show up. And I'm honestly putting a little bit of pressure on myself for that, because I didn't go anywhere last night. I was back from my road trip on Sunday. I didn't go to the lighting of the menorah in Uptown Waterloo. And I feel like today, and maybe this is just a me thing, but I feel like today, in the context of the world in which we live today, it's frankly not enough to just not be a terrorist. I think there's a calling for us to stand up and demonstrate our goodness, if that even is in as simple a way as attending a public lighting of a menorah in support of our neighbors who are of a Jewish faith. Why can't you show up for that? And what is the significance of showing up for that? Anyway, George, appreciate the sentiment for sure. Frank is with us this morning too. Good morning, Frank.
Morning. I think what has to happen is the world leaders, this is not just a Trump thing, it's everyone in the world, I think, need to stop acting. I don't want, like, the word buffoon comes to mind, but I think what is happening is there's just a lot of, it seems to me anyway, just a lot of chaos all over the world. And this is just a part of it. And
I don't disagree, Frank, that there is chaos, but how should we respond to it is really what we're trying to get at here.
Yeah, like you know what? You respond with love and care and sympathy for sure. 100% with any situation, something that happened like this the other day, and countless other, whether it's religious groups or just anyone that has passed away from someone that has, decided to just say F it and, for whatever reason. But I think that if there was a little more calmness in the world, in terms of the world leaders and and things like that. I'm doing this not justice. I had a nice whole spiel, but when I come on here, I don't. But I just think with the amount of chaos happening amongst the world, and me and you, we might not look at that chaos and be like, oh man, things are going crazy out here. Like, we tend to, I would think, if we keep our circle small and make sure our family and wife are amazing.
I think we lost Frank.
No, it's really upsetting. Like, I'm not religious, right? It's just that every day it seems there's something going on, and it's tough. And I feel sorry for everyone that in the Jewish community and just everyone that's going through something. So it's tough to talk about now but the world needs to be a little more calmer.
I agree with that completely. Thanks for bringing some calm, Frank. Appreciate you, man. All right, now we have lost Frank. You see, he had a perfect speech planned, and then you get live on the air, and things change, and the emotion sometimes comes out because, listen, I'm just going to remind you, okay? My job is to be as collected as I can be, even though I rant sometimes, right? But we got to keep it between the lines. I feel as overwhelmed as you do at times. I promise you that. There is chaos in the world. So to Frank's point, what can we do in response to the chaos? We can respond with kindness. And let's do that. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Sometimes I feel like I use up the best stuff during the commercial breaks or the news updates. And I don't want to be rude, though, when somebody's in studio and not engage in conversation. And I'm glad I got to start the conversation with the inaugural Chief Executive Officer of Waterloo Regional Health Network Foundation. Doug Earle sits across from me in studio, a very personable fellow with a background right here in the region. But first and foremost, welcome to the new role, and thanks for stopping by.
Great. Thank you for having me.
7 weeks in and not even remotely settled yet, right? There's a lot coming at you.
I'm still, though it's been great because the foundation's held a couple of events. I was at Barry's State of the City for Kitchener and the Waterloo Community Regional Community Foundation events. So I've been out in the community meeting people and met just over 500 of our donors in those 7 weeks. So it's been busy.
I'm sure it's a dramatically different community than the one you last experienced when you were here.
Yes. Well, I'm a Laurier grad, so I remember what it looked like in the late 80s, and then I've worked in the community with diabetes, the Cancer Society, and arthritis. So about a third of my career has been in the community, and it's just great to be back.
Yeah, it is a great community, and we were kind of having a little chuckle about Morty's having moved since you were there as a student at Laurier, and Morty's is a staple in that university neighborhood for sure. Let's get down to brass tacks here, Doug. And as somebody in the role that you are now in, that inaugural CEO for the foundation with WRHN, what does it mean to you to be back here, not just in this community, but at such a pivotal time for healthcare in this community?
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Bringing together the two legacy hospitals so that we can get a brand new building. This will be the 11th building that I've raised funds for since in my career. And this one, I think, will be just the ultimate because everyone relies on WRHN. Actually, 10% of Ontarians, 1.4 million people, rely on the healthcare services that WRHN provides. And now it's amazing with meeting all these people. They tell me their experiences working with the staff, how invaluable, how compassionate, how caring they are, how helpful they are. And now we have an opportunity once in a generation to build a building that will help them deliver care.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Absolutely.
What do you see the role of the WRHN Foundation being as we embark on this journey towards this new healthcare facility?
Well, this is an opportunity for the community to step up. 10% of the construction, all of the equipment is funded by philanthropy or the local share. And so this is an opportunity for the community to decide what type of healthcare they want, what type the latest in technology, the innovations that working with the University of Waterloo that will create, our staff will develop, like what happened when the two legacy hospitals came together, and we had almost a 2/3 drop in the time it took for ambulances to drop off patients in an emergency. That's the type of innovation that the community can support.
You mentioned that this will not be the first hospital for which you have fundraised. It seems to me, and so you're the expert, but this must be a daunting task, is it not? There's a lot of money that has to be raised here.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a once in a generation opportunity, and it will be. We're still negotiating with the provincial government, so we don't know exactly what our local share will be, but it will be a type and a nature that the community's never experienced before. But just in my first few weeks, the type of support, the commitment, people are saying, we know you'll be back when you know the numbers, when you know the design for this 2.3 million square foot new hospital that we're going to build here in our community.
What are the priorities that the WRHN Foundation will be focusing on?
Yeah, well, it is from when today to when the main acute building will open. It's a 10-year process. We will be investing in new equipment, like a linear cancer accelerator. We'll be looking at in the next year or two to bring neurosurgery back to Kitchener, so people don't have to go down the road, because time is brain when you've had an aneurysm, when you've had some issues with your brain and need a neurosurgeon care. Those things we'll be investing, knowing that we'll be moving those equipment, the programs into the new building over the period. Because the last thing you want is to open a brand new building, have all new equipment, and then 10 years from now have to replace it all. So we will be doing some staging. And those are the priorities today. But also when we take possession of the buildings in 2031 and 2034, that's when the foundation pays the local share based on the support. So we're looking for people to help us. Starting now, the 5 or 10 year commitments, paying a little bit each year towards this new building.
What opportunities, Doug, will the community have to get involved in this work?
Yeah, we'll be out. We're right now, a part of my conversations are just understanding, what is the level of interest, what is the potential gift that we could have. It's very critical to know that now in this stage, because the government is making a decision whether or not we get the green light, hopefully in the budget coming up in the spring, for the Ontario government to say yes, move forward into the design and construction stage. We will be launching a campaign to the community where people can step up, make pledges. We'll have lots with 2.3 million square feet. We'll have lots of naming opportunities where you can show your commitment to the building, to the healthcare in this community.
How does it feel to be in this role? You referenced earlier the two hospitals, St. Mary's and Grand River, coming together. Look, I'm old enough, Doug, I've been around this town long enough to remember when that was KW Hospital.
Yeah, in Freeport.
In Freeport, exactly. And now we're getting accustomed in this community to WRHN at Chicopee, WRHN at Queens Boulevard, WRHN at Midtown, etc. This is a significant change for the community. How do you bring people along with that change while you're also working towards this generational facility? Well,
I just recently left a hospital merger. So West Park Healthcare Centre is a rehab hospital in Toronto, 120-year proud history. Founded with tuberculosis, and today is the leading respiratory hospital in the world for rehab. They've merged with the University Health Network. So became the 5th hospital in that. So there is a period, like we do need to celebrate the 2 legacy hospitals and what was accomplished. But it was very clear in the community that in order to get the new hospital, that we needed to come together. And when the conversations with government within the hospitals, within the community, it realized that was just where it was an artificial barrier to getting a decision to move forward. And so that's been a part of celebrating what was accomplished with the 2, but also looking with that eye to the future to really improve access to healthcare for 10% of Ontarians.
7 weeks into the role, already mentioned that. Have you had a chance to stop back into Morty's yet?
I did, actually, because we had a prostate cancer fundraiser there a few weeks ago.
Wings are still great.
The wings are fantastic.
I was going to say, I know how busy you are, but maybe we can make time for, a pound of wings and a pint over at Morty sometimes. Doug, it's great to meet you.
Great.
I know you've got a lot of work ahead of you, but appreciate you stopping by today, and we'll look forward to continuing these conversations as we embark on this incredible journey for healthcare in the community. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Doug Earle is the inaugural CEO of the Waterloo Regional Health Network Foundation, the WRHN Foundation. He joins us in studio here on the Mike Farwell Show this morning, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I'm still trying to get over that call we had just before 10:30 this morning. I even mentioned it to Jen, who is our board operator here at the station today, answering the phones and whatnot. And Frank called, and we were talking about just the sheer weight of the news cycle. And that's kind of where the show started when Doug called, and he talked about, obviously, the tragedy that was the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife in Hollywood. And, of course, on the weekend, that horrible terrorist attack against the Jewish community in Australia. And Frank was feeling the weight of the events of the day. And I can't help but wonder, I'm just playing amateur psychologist here, okay? But we are at a time of the year where stresses can mount. We might not even know they are mounting. But Frank got emotional during that phone call about 20 minutes ago. And I don't think Frank is alone in that. It is a heavy news cycle. It is a time of the year that is filled with so much joy and light, but at the same time, stresses are associated with that. So what better time to welcome into the show our friends from the Canadian Mental Health Association, Waterloo Wellington. The CEO there is Helen Fishburne, who joins us for our monthly mental health check-in. Helen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Always good to be with you. And I'm a week later than I normally am, but I'm thinking maybe that's not a bad thing given everything that we're managing right now.
Yeah, I so appreciate the flexibility that you've been able to show us, because I was away traveling last week with the Kitchener Rangers, but I never want to miss these opportunities. And I think you're right. We're, 9 days away from the big day. Next Wednesday. Next Thursday will be Christmas Day. Anyway, we're that close to it. And I think that maybe the stresses kind of sneak up on us this time of year, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And, as you welcomed me into this piece, just recognizing the heavy news that we're all processing. Every time we turn on the TV or listen to something on the radio, there's a lot of tragedies right now. So, as much as Christmas brings joy and it brings excitement for children and for families, we also have to be really honest and acknowledge that our hearts are heavy right now, processing and recognizing the amount of pain and loss that people are struggling with. Just, Rob Reiner's family, the tragedy there, the senseless tragedy and the layers to that, the Jewish community being targeted in Australia. It's just absolutely heartbreaking to think of pain being caused by racism as well. So both things can be true at the same time, Mike, because we have to hold both of those things right now together. The joy that and anticipation that we're feeling for Christmas, which is true, and the pain that we're recognizing and needing to acknowledge, because all of us care so much in our hearts when we see other people suffer.
What tips, Helen, might you offer to help us navigate a time of year like this?
Well, as always, we want people to be authentic about what they're feeling, right? So, as you enter into the holiday season and you're managing all of these feelings, how do you want, think about that. How do you want to be true to yourself in this holiday season? It's important to, acknowledge and be grateful for what you have. And I think that's a wonderful way, actually, to recognize and celebrate, because many of us have so much to be grateful for. So it's important to acknowledge that. But it's also important to acknowledge the pain. And it might be just some losses that you're feeling in your own family. You might have lost someone this year. You might have gone through a really difficult time. You might be struggling financially as a family. So Christmas looks and feels very different this year. You don't have the usual joy or light that you might have this year. And world events are impacting you as well. So how do you want to authentically share that, right? Is it going to be different for you? Do you want to connect with your family differently? Do you want to just acknowledge that and have those conversations with your family? Are there things that you can do to donate to families that have less than, or to donate to a Jewish community, right? There's ways that you can acknowledge that pain and still be true to your heart and to your family.
And, you talk about being true to one's family. Of course, this is a time of the year where we get together, hopefully with family. For those that might not have others to spend time with, it can be a very lonely time. And sometimes family dynamics can be challenging. How do we try to navigate that?
Well, I always say, talking about politics is not your best Christmas conversation. There's no question about it, right? If you want to polarize your family conversation quickly, you can just start talking about politics. It's not helpful. So find things that you can share together with your family. Find things that bring all of you joy. Children and grandchildren are amazing things to focus on, right? If there is someone in your family that has done really well in their career or reached a milestone, celebrate those things. Be grateful for what you have, even if it's just the time together. The simple acts of gratitude. I always say the greatest gift that what we can give to people is telling them what they mean to us. Right? And sometimes we take those things for granted. We don't say them out loud, but what they mean to us and how much support and love that they show, and saying those things, expressing those things, and showing them in very simple terms is an amazing gift.
What resources are available to us as we approach what can be a difficult time of the year, maybe just to give us some reassurance and guidance through the holidays?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing is your family is a resource, right? So talking to your family members, if you have somebody in your family that you're close to, or friends or neighbors, right? So your informal network is always an amazing place to start. And if you're not feeling in the Christmas spirit this year, or the holiday spirit, or you're struggling with something, bring those people that you love closer into you, to have those conversations, to go for a tea, to go for a walk, to just have a quiet conversation in the corner. And then, of course, there's professional resources, which are always available. So our Here 24/7 service, for example, is never closed. So if you want to call us, if you're struggling, if you can't sleep in the middle of the night, if you're really having a hard time, we're always here. And, of course, we have our crisis service, 988, which you can call us or you can text us, 988, if you feel like you're at risk, or if you're worried about someone in your family who's at risk, Mike. And, again, as much as Christmas brings us joy and can be a wonderful time of year, it can also push people that are struggling deeper into that darkness. And we always want to keep an eye out for people that might be at risk, because over the holiday season, that loneliness and that stress and worry can feel even darker at times. So just know that we're here, either here 24/7, 988. Your family doctor's office might be open. There's all kinds of support for people that need to reach out.
Helen, again, thank you for accommodating our crazy schedule here at the radio station and shifting weeks this week. And I look forward to more of these conversations through 2026 as well. The very best to you and yours for the holidays, and thank you for this.
Thank you, Mike. You too. Take care and find the joy where you can.
I promise you I will. We'll talk again soon.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye. Helen Fishburne is the CEO of the Canadian Mental Health Association, Waterloo Wellington. If you check out their website as well, you'll find some resources, including a Coping with the Holidays e-learning module, which is absolutely free. The website is CMHAWW, Canadian Mental Health Association, Waterloo Wellington, CMHAWW.ca. And maybe you just take a few minutes in the busyness of this season, I know, but to go through that module, get ready for it, right? Because it sort of connects to what we were talking about earlier in responding with kindness. People are going to be coming at us at different places with different emotions, with different energy, and the energy we meet with them or we meet them with will matter a whole lot to making the holidays as stress-free as possible. And make sure you get outside and move around a little bit in between breaks of baking and cooking turkeys and whatever else the case may be. I hope it's a fantastic holiday. I really do. I'm not going anywhere yet. I'm just thinking ahead to next week. And I'm going to be here next week and we'll talk about the holidays together, the stresses and the fun parts. I promise you that. An update from the 570 News Center coming up. And then buy now, pay later. Sounds great, right? But what about this as a financial strategy? We'll talk about it on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Have you got your Christmas shopping done yet? Have you started your Christmas shopping yet? When it comes to doing that Christmas shopping, how are you going to go about it? I know I'm getting deeply personal here. I grew up in an era where you didn't talk about finances, but do you set a budget? Do you pay in cash only? Or do you just slap down that credit card and wait for the bill to come in when January rolls around? So many questions. But let's talk about one of the possible answers, because along with setting a budget and paying cash or just putting it on the credit card, retailers are giving us new ways to pay for the things that we want and or think we need for the holiday season. Joined by Vivek Astvanj, who is an associate professor of quantitative marketing and analytics at McGill University. Vivek, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for interviewing me, and hello to you and your listeners.
Thank you very much for making the time. We certainly appreciate it. And we know that this is a time of year where we're going to be spending lots of money. Retailers are ready for this. And there's a new way that we're being offered to pay for our purchases, BNPL. What is that?
BNPL stands for Buy Now, Pay Later, or as I say, Buy Now, Regret Later. The idea, I'll give you an example so that the listeners can understand what this means. Suppose I want to buy a $100 dress at either a website, an app, or in store. At my checkout time, the retailer gives me two payment options. First, pay $100 right now through a credit card or a debit card, or maybe occasionally a checking account. Second, pay 25%, which is $25 now, and the remaining $75 will be debited from my checking account, credit card, or debit card in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 6 weeks from today. This latter payment plan is called Buy Now, Pay Later.
What is it that makes buy now, pay later so attractive to consumers?
It is attractive because I'm paying $25 today and receiving a $100 item. And people are short-term oriented. We care about the present. Very few people care that much about the past, about the future. So therefore, my outgoing cash is less in buy now, pay later. However, that's the benefit. That's half the story. The other half is in the future.
So I have to think, Vivek, that there is interest being accumulated somewhere, right? They're not just going to let you pay 25% today and fund the other 75% in equal payments later on, are they?
Actually, if you use BNPL in 4 payments, then you do not pay any interest. However, if the installments bounce from your credit card or from your checking account, then you will have to pay the penalty or the fees. But there is no interest if you are paying in 4 installments. However, if you pay in monthly installments, then the interest varies from 12% to 36%. I'll put this number in context. The highest interest rate for a credit card in Canada is 24%. Therefore, you may end up paying far more. I guess the bigger worry with BNPL is because people perceive that they are paying only 25% on the date of shopping, they might accumulate more debt than they have the repayment capacity.
You said earlier that you call buy now, pay later, buy now, regret later. So what are the risks of using this option when we shop?
The foremost risk is that I may accumulate more debt that I can pay. Because, see, what's happening is I want to buy this $100 dress today, but I have reached my credit card limit, or I may not have a credit card. And these impediments will prevent me from overspending. Come BNPL. Now I am paying only $25, so I'm not reaching my credit card limit today. However, I might reach that credit card limit in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 6 weeks. But this requires a lot of arithmetic and calculus, and most shoppers do not do that much mathematics. So I may end up accumulating more debt, and I may not have enough money in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 6 weeks from now.
What should we as consumers keep in mind as we go about buying holiday gifts?
Be prudent, be wise. There are options available in the market, and availability of options does not necessarily mean that these options are for the shopper's benefit. Because ultimately, we are in a capitalist economy and businesses work for their own benefit. Please also remember that if you use BNPL, the government's laws on BNPL are not as well defined as those for credit card and checking account. So suppose I pay $25 now and I have to pay $75 in installments, and if I now want to return the product, or instead of $25, $250 get debited now. Some error happens. Whom am I going to catch now? Would it be the BNPL loan provider, the retailer, or can I knock at the government agency's door? I cannot knock on the government's door because those rules are very fluid. BNPL is too new for shoppers to know and for the government to define its rules and regulations.
Is this something, could we use BNPL to our advantage at all, Vivek? Are there ways that we could make this safer for us, so to speak, or should we just dismiss it completely?
There are benefits, and 2 specific benefits. First, BNPL is an excellent solution for people who don't have a credit history and therefore may not have a credit card. For example, students. For example, immigrants. Second, it is a very good solution for social inclusion. So, for example, low-income families who may not have enough credit card limit. So, for example, if I'm low income and I have a lot of money in my checking account, but I need a credit line, and gradually some of these BNPL providers are reporting information to credit bureaus. So, I may not be eligible to receive a credit card of, say, $5,000 credit limit, but I can use my $1,000 credit limit and BNPL to meet my expenses and make all of those items affordable. So there are benefits to like everything in life. However, people have to be judicious in how much they use this benefit, because beyond a threshold, the benefits turn into costs.
Vivek, I really appreciate your time on the show today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me. Have a very pleasant morning. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Vivek Astvanch is an associate professor of quantitative marketing and analytics at McGill University. He calls it buy now, regret later, because shockingly, you can run into trouble if your next debit withdrawal bounces, for example, or you decide to pay over 12 months instead of just the next 3 installments. Those interest payments are going to bite you in the behind down the road. I mean, listen, if you can put 25% down now and pay the other 75% in 3 equal installments over the next 6 weeks. I've always been that believer. I've shared this with you before, that it's my money until it's your money. That's why when I pay my bills online, for example, I used to pay it right on the day of. Then I moved it to a day before. And then I had a hiccup the one time, and for whatever reason, the bank didn't talk to the service provider and whatever. It did. So I moved it to 2 days before now. But here's the thing. Again, I hate to keep harping on this, but I'm old enough to remember when you got a little bit more interest in your everyday account. And so I always thought, listen, I'm going to hang on to that money for as long as I can because I want to generate as much interest as possible on that balance before I give you the money for your bill. It's not your money yet. That was kind of my way of looking at it. So in the case of this, where you've got a $100 item that you can pick up today for $25 and you've got the $100 in your account, well, I'll defer that another 6 weeks, because then for 6 weeks, that $75 is in my account working for me. I like it when my money works for me. You see how that works? But of course, this is just another way for us to be parted from our money, because you might go to a buy now, pay later here, and then a buy now, pay later there, and then another buy now, pay later over there. And suddenly you've got 3 of these things where you put down 25% because that's all that had to come out right now. But then you're going to have to pay the piper down the road. And if you can't, or something bounces, you're going to end up in a little bit of difficulty. Buy now, pay later, or buy now, regret later. What do you make of this latest method for retailers to encourage us to spend? Would you use it? Have you used it? I'd be very interested in learning what your experience was like. I'm a little bit on the jaded side when it comes to this sort of thing. I've long had the financial philosophy of I do not pay interest, I earn interest. Whatever interest I can earn on money that I have saved, I will do. I do not like at all paying interest on things. So I try very hard. I'm extremely debt averse. And when I see opportunities like this, I get the sense that I'm kind of playing a game against a casino and the odds makers. And there are very intelligent people using very sophisticated equipment to create rules for the games we play in a casino, to generate the odds that we are wagering on, etc. And really, it is set up so that, as you know, the house always wins, right? Sometimes you get lucky, and if you're smart and you walk away with that money, you can take something away. But in the big picture, the house always wins. The retailers are always going to make money. So when they have options like this, or options like this suddenly appear, and I've seen it. I actually did a little bit of online shopping from a local company this holiday season, and the options pop up that say, oh, do you want to pay this right now, or do you want to pay it in 4 installments? I'm like, no, I'm not paying 4 installments. I don't even look into the details, because I just assume 4 installments means, you know, the first one's $25, the next one's $26, next one's $28, whatever. I'm not paying any extra. I got the money. I'm going to pay this right now. That's why I'm shopping here. But I just figure that these financial geniuses have figured out a way to encourage us to spend so that they make more on the retail side, and we spend more on the consumer side. I understand the appeal, but they make me nervous. I always figure it's some sort of game that's being played, and I don't want to play it. I'm going to shop for the thing I want to shop for. I'm going to save the money for the thing I want to buy, and that's all I'm going to do. But I'm older school. I don't even keep my financial information on my phone. I've never paid for anything with my phone. That's how much of a Luddite I am. So maybe these things are working out really well for you or for other people. I was also struggling to remember as I tried to pay enough attention to our guest. I try to actively listen, but I was remembering a business that was built solely on the buy now, pay later philosophy. And I can't remember the name of it, but my father warned me about it when I was a kid. Because when you're starting out, right, and you've got nothing, like you're using beer cases as TV stands, right? You're setting up like whatever you can do. I had some old milk crates that I used as a base for a coffee table, right? So anything, if you could go to a place and get some furniture and not have to pay for 2 years, I'm like, dude, I dig it. I can get behind this idea. My dad always warned me about that. And I'm forgetting the name of the business. Doesn't matter. I'm getting carried away here. As always, on the tangent. Buy now, pay later. Or buy now, regret later. Have you tried this? What do you think of these new options that are being made available to you, the consumer, so you can spend more of your money? Would love to hear your thoughts on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
It is attractive because currently I'm paying $25 today and receiving a $100 item. People are short-term oriented. We care about the present. Very few people care that much about the past, about the future. So therefore, my outgoing cash is less in buy now, pay later. However, that's the benefit. That's half the story. The other half is in the future.
Vivek Astvanch is an associate professor of quantitative marketing and analytics at McGill University. Joins us to talk about one of the newest ways we are being offered the opportunity to spend our money. That's the best way I can describe it for you. Buy now, pay later, or as Vivek describes it, buy now, regret later. I'm just curious as to your take on this latest innovation in the retail space, encouraging us to spend more. And hey, don't worry about it today. You can just worry about it down the road. Have you taken advantage? Has it worked out for you? What do you think? 519-570-2545. Star 570, 1-800-570-5715. Start with Brad. Good morning, Brad.
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Happy holidays.
And same to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just caught the tail end of that. I mean, it's a tough economy. Cost of living has never been higher, or maybe last year was the highest, and this is the second highest, right? So I think those types of financial products are there. Probably not for you. They're certainly not targeting you, and hopefully I'm not a customer of those as well. But they're out there for sure. It's a hey, you know what? We'll enjoy what we buy right now, and then we'll just worry about it months, maybe even years down the road type thing, right? And those products have been around forever. I mean, essentially, isn't that what a mortgage is? Right?
It's a fair point.
I mean, sure, you pay for it every month, right? But you're essentially that is a mortgage. Now, that's a great investment for sure because it's an asset as well, right? Years ago, when right out of college, my then girlfriend, now my wife, moved to Toronto, needed a mattress and a box spring. Right, so we went to this place, got a mattress box spring. It was $700, right? Well, the fine print in the financing on it was okay. So for the first 6 months or so was 0%. But guess what? After that, like literally one day afterwards, I think it rose to about 20%.
Yeah.
So right, so I got lucky. I looked at the contract and said, I got to get my butt into a bank and pay this. Otherwise, that $700 mattress and box spring ballooned to like over $1,000, right? So, and that was 30 years ago, right? So the products are out there for sure. Unfortunately, people will take advantage of them, and then that just increases debt, and of course, people file for bankruptcy and protection and stuff like that. So it's a difficult hole to sort of dig yourself into and try and get out of, for sure.
No question about it. Brad, thanks for calling in. Good to hear from you today.
Yeah, take care. Have a safe and happy one. Thanks.
Cheers. You as well. I'm glad he read the fine print in that contract, but that's the stuff that concerns me. And just thinking what Brad's saying about the cost of living, and I totally get that. So this is providing more opportunities for people who might find their budgets kind of tight right now. The problem is that budget ain't going to get any less tight when you have to pay the rest of that buy now, pay later. So it almost feels like you're preying on people's tight budgets. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Mary, how do you feel about that?
Oh, Mike with a mic.
Mary on a bike. I'm great. How are you?
Well, you know what I say? Another day older and a deeper in debt. What do you think of that?
I think most of us feel that way, Mary.
Well, it's a scam. It really it is a scam, and people will fall for it. But once upon a time, do you realize what I'm saying?
I realize that once upon a time when you were a younger lady.
And when the other guy used to say that.
You're talking Paul Harvey.
Once upon a time.
And now you know.
Once upon a time,
right.
You could have layaways.
Oh, yes. The good old layaway plan. Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember? Are you old enough to remember that?
I am indeed.
Yeah. Well, they didn't charge you anything for that.
The layaway plan?
No.
Really?
No. But the whole thing that they knew is that if they did that, you were going to buy that thing from them.
Right.
Hey, we weren't born yesterday, were we, Mike?
We were not, Mary.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. I love that laugh. Yes. And that's the other thing, though, right? The layaway plan, I don't have to pay for it till later. And that's fine. And I don't recall there not being any interest. But you're still then just buying another thing. Did you? Did you need the thing? Did you want the thing? As my dad's financial advice comes back to me. Is it a need or is it a want, Mike? Yeah, a lot of them were wants, Dad. Like that car that I bought. I loved that car. I didn't need that car when I was 17. I bought it with my money saved for my paper route. Can you imagine that? Tangent again. Here I go. Got to get you to the news center. And then we're going to talk about some housing hope for our holiday season on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. When the first of a month falls on a Monday, the weeks add up pretty quickly. We do things on this show on a regular basis. First Tuesday, second Tuesday, third Tuesday, etc. And already here we are on the 16th of December on our third Tuesday of the month. And it is on the third Tuesday of every month at 11:30 that we are joined by our friends from Habitat for Humanity, Waterloo Region, to take a look at an issue that might be, I would argue, the issue of the day, and that is, of course, housing in our community. Joining us every month for these conversations is the CEO there at Habitat for Humanity, Waterloo Region, Philip Mills. Phil, good morning.
Good morning.
I got to think, a guy that does the kind of work that you do, can you go anywhere? Like, if I may be so egotistical, everywhere I go, Phil, people want to ask me about the kitchen arrangers, okay? That's just what happens. So, given the work that you do, when you are out and about, when you're sitting around for a family dinner, which you're probably going to do over the holidays, do people just ask you about housing all the time?
I have been, in some ways, just contained to this one thing. I have been, dissolved down to Phil in housing is kind of how it goes. Yes, everywhere I go, it is questions about housing. It's what do we do? What's going on? And everything and everywhere. It is the defining question that I get asked, but I think it's because it's the defining problem of our time right now. Like, this is something that just touches everybody and everybody wants to know more. And it's so big and complicated and scary. People want to talk about it. And so, yeah, everywhere I go, it is housing.
So as you reflect on housing at Christmas, knowing that these conversations are about to happen, what are you reflecting on?
I guess the thing that stands out the most to me, and I think it is, a juxtaposition against kind of the Christmas backdrop, is how hopeless it all feels. Like, Christmas is supposed to be this time where, hope is overwhelming. If you watch a Christmas movie, Hallmark movie, if you will, I watched some cartoons with my young boys. We watch these Christmas movies, and somehow, some way, Christmas always comes through. It's Christmas magic or the spirit of the season. Something comes through, kind of breaks through and fixes it all. But as soon as I shift to housing, there just doesn't seem to be that feeling in people. There seems to be, at best, a resignation to, well, it used to be good, and, that was good for them. But, the idea that there is, even Christmas can't create hope in the housing, world right now. And I think that's really something that stuck out to me recently.
Yeah, and I think that's such an excellent point. And I'm loath to take this stance on it or this approach to it, Phil, and I've even expressed that before. But it does feel, I call myself a defeatist in this regard at times, because when we look at the homelessness population itself of 2,300 plus in this region, and that's the lowest end of the spectrum, if you will. Then you've got people that are in need of supportive or affordable housing on the spectrum. Then you've got working folks who are just trying to get into the market that's so expensive. I mean, there's so much, and I do find it rather overwhelming. So in the spirit of the season, where can you look for or point us towards, wait a minute, no, there is some hope in this housing situation?
Well, I think there is hope coming. I think there's an opportunity for hope in this system. In the end, when things get really bad is when people do tend to pull together. And so if this is our Christmas movie, let's hope this is the moment when that Christmas magic does show up. And I think there are signs of that in the community. We've seen, at Habitat, great investment from two of our local cities. The city of Kitchener and the city of Waterloo has said, hey, we're going to do something to make housing, something people can afford again. We're going to create an opportunity. And so through our Build Now project, stuff has come forward. The cities have moved, and we are excited to be able to bring that to the community. We're going to say, look, we're going to create housing that people can actually afford again. We're going to buy housing, create housing that people can buy, a home that a family starting out, a young family can actually afford, that isn't going to bury them in, overwhelming debts and mortgages. That stuff used to be there for us. And I think there is something really scary when we lose that idea, when we lose that hope, when a generation feels this isn't for me. I don't know how we keep people grounded in the region. How do we keep people connected? How do we create a thriving community when people are like, I can't even really be here? And so for me, I think the hope comes in, we are seeing partnerships happening. We are seeing cities take action. We are seeing this as a priority. And very soon, we will start to see housing created for people that they can actually afford. And so that does give me hope that we are creating solutions right here in this region, right here for us, that can give people back an opportunity that's been really lost.
What does it mean for us as a community when this opportunity is returned to people, when they can afford the housing that's available?
The knock-on effects from affordable housing are massive. And it doesn't take a lot of steps to start to see how this comes. If you're a person who has ever struggled with paying for your housing, had a big mortgage or rent that was a bit more, you stressed yourself in a place, you understand that you have to pull back somewhere else, which means you're not investing in the community. And so when you can afford your home again, when you can afford your rent, or you can afford your mortgage, that's more trips to your local bakery, because you can splurge on something exciting. That is more support for community businesses, artisans, folks around you. You can go and spend that money. You can go out to the movies. You can do dinner. You can, do all of the work all of the spending that you normally would want to. And that really does stimulate our economy. Because if I'm out spending my local economy, that means our local entrepreneurs are better suited. If I want to say, hey, you know what, I can actually afford that reno on my house now, or that space that I live now, because I can afford where I live. I can upgrade. That means trades and workers, handyman, all of the sort of things around us, our ability to not just be present, but to invest in our community through our dollars just goes through the roof when I don't have to spend 45% of my income on rent or on a mortgage. When you get that money back, people don't usually hoard it. They're excited to go and spend that in the community. And as they spend that in the community, all the rest of us get more and more. It's this knock-on effect of, hey, I have disposable income. I'm going to invest it back into my neighbors and my local businesses. And that helps all of us. Those things are there for us if we can create space for people to make those choices again.
So if we look ahead, Phil, to 2026, I know the plan is to break ground then on the big build now 1,000+ homes out by Rim Park in Waterloo. You mentioned how the cities of Waterloo and Kitchener have both stepped up to do something in terms of here's some surplus land we're going to make available for affordable housing. Do we just need more of that? I mean, obvious signs of hope. So is the idea then, let's have more of the same, please?
I'm certainly not going to say no. Like, if the opportunity's there, I think, we've kind of said, like, these are a pilot. We believe this is going to work. I am supremely confident this will create opportunity for people that isn't elsewhere. But I get some people need to see it. And so this year is a year for us to kind of prove that concept and say, look, we can bring hope and opportunity back to housing here in this region. Look at what we're building. Look what's available. Look what we can do with what we've been given. Don't you think we could do more if we had more? And I think that's the opportunity that is coming. That if, once this is successful, and this is not a surprise to any of the mayors or anybody else on council, like, I'm going to come ask for more because I think this is going to work. This is transformative for our community. This is solving one of the biggest crises we have in our region. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep bugging people to say, I have a solution and we can make something transformative. We can bring hope back to housing in Waterloo region if we all just keep working together. And so when this succeeds in Waterloo and when this succeeds in Kitchener, I'm going to go back to Waterloo, I'm going to go back to Kitchener, the region in Cambridge and every township and say, let's do more of this because our community needs it.
Just as an aside before I let you go, because this is our last chat before the holidays, is there one of those holiday movies that fills you with hope that is Phil Mills's favorite?
I love the movie Klaus. It's my favorite. I watch it with my boys every year, and it is my favorite Christmas movie. Watched it this weekend, and I highly recommend it if you've never checked it out.
I have never checked it out, but thank you for the recommendation. I will do that. Phil, I've really appreciated these conversations. I don't think did I check in with you? We're going to keep doing this in 2026, right? I hope we are.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
As long as you'll let me ramble, I will come and ramble.
But welcome to the Farwell Show. It's just rambling for 4 hours. You're welcome to 15 minutes of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, Mike.
Merry Christmas to you too, Phil. Philip Mills is the CEO of Habitat for Humanity Waterloo Region. He joins us every month, third Tuesday of, right here on the program. And, I'm just thinking real quick, here comes Farwell's ramble again, but I think this is important and to the point. That Build Now initiative in Waterloo, breaking ground next year, 1,000, which is significant, just over 1,000 homes, units of housing, out by Rim Park. Remember, the Build Now initiative pledged 10,000 homes in 7 years. I think we started the clock ticking in mid-24. Could have even been mid-23. Let's be generous and say it was mid-24. So 10,000 units of housing by 2031. I'm going to be blunt. It ain't going to happen. The timeline was too short, and the availability of land, resources, etc., just doesn't exist. However, and the point on this is, at minimum, we continue to have these conversations. Phil just said, I'm going to keep coming back to councils and reminding them that this issue still exists. And by the way, we've done these 1,000 homes in Waterloo. Look how well it's working. Where else? What else can we do? We will get to that 10,000. Might not be within that 7-year window, but the story of Build Now has not gone away. And I'm glad that we can have Phil on this show every month to remind you that very thing. The story of Build Now has not gone away. It's a pretty impressive effort. I would love to see us get to the 10,000 homes. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is that time of year, isn't it? We were just talking about that with Philip Mills, CEO, Habitat for Humanity, Waterloo Region, watching the Christmas shows with his kids, thinking about that hopeful spirit that exists within each of those shows and movies and how he can translate that hope into our local housing situation. It's the time of year where we spend time reflecting on the year that's passed, what the next year ahead might hold. And while we do that personally, I know organizations across our community are doing the same thing. So we check in with one of those organizations now, which is Lessard and Innisfree Hospice. The executive director there is Maria Empringham, and she joins the show. Maria, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
When you think back on the almost full 12 months now of 2025 gone by, what do you think about at Lessard and Innisfree Hospice?
I think for us, so this past year, we celebrated our 25th anniversary at Lessard House and our 10th anniversary at Innisfree. And coming into a year where we were unsure about what donors might be doing with the financial situations that are occurring in our communities, we were really unsure of what the year might bring. But looking back, we just have such an amazing community, and we are just blown away by what our community has done and how generous that they have been.
You know, that's a really interesting reminder, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm thinking about somebody in your position and all the folks who work so hard at Lessard and Innisfree, and there are headwinds that are completely out of your control. When the economy is taking a bit of a downturn, when there's a postal strike, for example, and you're trying to continue generating those important donations, that fundraising that is so critical to the work that you do. This has got to be a pretty difficult thing when these, again, factors are completely out of your control.
That's true, Mike. And, you know, we can make a budget and we can decide, okay, this is what our goal is going to be, but it really is out of our hands.
What does the fundraising that you do allow you to do at Lessard and Innisfree?
So every dollar that we get stays here local within our community, and it really ensures that we can consistently deliver compassionate, specialized end-of-life care, comfort and support for individuals who are at end of life and all of their family members. It also allows us to provide support after. So with grief and bereavement groups, it allows us to provide different activities and legacy pieces that families can do while they're here. So, and even this time of year, I'm reminded of the other things that it allows us to do, and that is that we can provide festive meals for families. So individuals can invite their family and their friends, and they can come and they can have a meal together here this time of year.
That's such a good reminder as well, because I've had the privilege of being inside Lessard and Innisfree, and it's not the kind of place I think you would expect it to be when you think about the kind of care that's provided there, that end-of-life care. Can you share with us, Maria, what the experience is like at Lessard and Innisfree Hospice?
Well, the experience that we want people to have is that this is like a home-like environment, that they can come, that they can still be a family, that they can have family activities, that they can continue to make memories with their loved ones.
You mentioned that we went through those milestone anniversaries this past year, which are obviously great opportunities for you to fundraise and share messages with the community. How do you generally go about that fundraising?
So we have 3 signature events that we hold each year. But then outside of that, we offer what is called community fundraising. And so we have folks in our community who hold fundraisers themselves, different things like golf tournaments. We had a she shed party, car washes, bake sales, that type of thing. And so those community fundraisers in this past year have brought in over $121,000 for us. And so there were like 15 different community fundraisers that occurred. And then our signature events, we have Sweethearts for Hospice, which happens in February. We have our Hike for Hospice that happens in June. This past year, we had an anniversary gala, which we will be changing up to something new and different next year. And so those are some of the things that we do to fundraise.
It's terrific that so many individual, either organizations or people individually got involved to help raise some money. And if anybody is encouraged or inspired to do that, Maria, how could they go about it?
So they can go to our website. They can donate on our website. They can call us. Our receptionists, our volunteers are happy to help them over the phone, or they can just you can mail something into us.
Appreciate all the work that you and the team do, Maria, and your time on the show this morning. So thank you very much for that, and happy holidays for the season ahead.
And happy holidays to you too, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Maria Empringham is the executive director of Lessard and Innisfree Hospice. How about that? More than $120,000 raised within the community by people inspired to do something, be it a golf tournament, a she shed event, you name it, getting involved and doing something to help out the organization that is Lessard and Innisfree Hospice. You can find them online, lessardandinnisfree.com. Learn more about what they do, why they do it, and maybe you too can support one of the fundraising initiatives or create one of your own. I know when Sweethearts for Hospice rolls around in February, we'll be talking about it because Sweethearts means candy, sugar. One of my favorite food groups is sugar. So we'll talk about that. And we want to, through this show, of course, raise the profile of organizations and agencies in our community that are doing so much of the heavy lifting, often behind the scenes. We want to draw back the curtain and put them right at the front of the stage. So glad we could do that this morning with Lessard and Innisfree Hospice. We are fast approaching the noon hour, and I know that you know what that means. We're going to get you an update from the 570 News Center, and then we are going to open the phone lines for the Talkback Hour. One other important piece of business to take care of, because we have not yet done it today, is our Die Hard Christmas countdown. Because our 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50-50 raffle has such a massive jackpot right now. So we'll count down Hans Gruber's fall from the top of the Nakatomi Tower, and we're going to take your phone calls on Talkback. And what I'm interested in learning today, because we heard this from Premier Ford yesterday, he's not going to Florida this year. He, for the first time in a long time, as long as he can remember, he's not going to go and do any snowbirding this year. How about you? Are you changing travel plans to the U.S., given, of course, the impact of the man who is currently in residence at the White House? Would love to hear that from you on Talkback as we continue the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage out of sight, or you don't go out Friday night.
Don't talk back.
So did you hear what Ontario Premier Doug Ford said yesterday? He was at a media conference in Niagara Falls where he was announcing investments in tourism. We need new casinos. We need to attract people to Niagara Falls. And then you finish your media conference. You take questions from the assembled media. Hey, by the way, Region of Waterloo, that's how you do it. You don't invite media individually to meetings with your staff and or political leaders. You don't one-off us. You bring us all together for a media conference. You can even put that media conference on the internet so the public, who's working hard to pay the taxes you charge them every year, can see it too. But I digress. Premier Ford, when asked questions yesterday after his announcement in Niagara Falls, was asked about going to the United States, something that he has been doing, spending some winter months in Florida for some time. And this is what the premier had to say.
It's going to be the first time I'm not going to Florida. But I talked to so many people. Don't let this guy, Trump, determine and ruin your life and everything. That's my personal choice. Maybe some families have gone to Florida their whole lives. Go to Florida. You know, that's great. but I encourage you to stay here and support local tourism. But you can't let the one tyrant change our lives, right? You just can't let it happen. I'm doing it out of my own personal choice because I just can't do it. But don't let this guy change your lives. If you go down, you see, maybe their grandparents are down there. Maybe they're somewhere else.
So I guess it's kind of two sides of the mouth, right? I'm not going to do it because this guy, I just don't even know about this guy. But don't let him stop you from doing it. And it just made me curious how many of you might have changed any of your behaviors. I just got back from the United States. I was sharing that the other day. And the trip was as good as it's ever been. The people that I met were as kind as they've ever been. The border crossing was simple. But one of our regular callers, Afif, did call me later and say, yeah, it might have been for you, but when I go to the border, what it's like? My first name is Mohammed. So, okay. And I totally understand that. My perspective, completely different, especially the way that I'm traveling, which is as part of a junior hockey team. And this sort of thing is part of doing business, right? No issues whatsoever. But I know that my beloved is insistent on, we're not going to the States, at least not right now. There's lots of places I want to visit. I'll go see New York at Christmas time, for starters. Love me some Las Vegas or some Nashville. She says, nope, we're not doing that. And when I brought this up earlier this morning, I heard from another one of our regulars via email who said he had a family member who owned a trailer down in Florida, sold it. Another family member who had timeshares in U.S. properties, sold them, and others who are just insisting that, nope, not until 2029 at least are we going back to the United States. So just curious. I mean, Premier Ford says he's not going to go. You still can. Don't let Donald Trump dissuade you from your usual plans, but Premier's not going to go. It's thought as we get into Talkback here, you might want to weigh in on that today. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Kyle, good afternoon.
6 here.
Sorry?
Number 6.
Number 6, Farwell's Force member, number 6.
That's right. When we went to Europe and Air Canada went on strike, we decided not to go to the States if that was an option. And I am like Doug Ford. I have no interest in going to the United States. You know why? Look at Canada. Look how big it is. We have so much to offer here. I've been to Montreal, Yellowknife, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, Northern Ontario. And I'm not talking about Northern Ontario. I was in Sudbury. I'm talking about Red Lake, Thunder Bay, those areas. Check them out. We have so much to offer here. I know, sure, we might not have the Vegas or the Nashville of the United States or whatever, right? But come and see what we have to offer. There's so many good places to go check out in Canada, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. Their first mentality is to go to another country, which is fine, but just look what's in your own backyard, and you might be a little surprised, Mike. So that's all I got to say. But yeah, that's what we went when we went to Europe. We didn't decide to go to the States. We just decided there's an option. We'll reroute, somewhere in Europe or whatever and figure out that way. But thanks a lot, my friend.
All right, Kyle, good to hear from you. A couple of things from that. First of all, Farwell's Force member number 6. We are collectively 250 strong now. We are a force for good, a force for change, a force to be reckoned with. And there's room for you on the force, on the list. We'll assign you a number, and it will forever be yours. All you have to do is listen for 15 minutes. Not just 15 minutes randomly once. No. I'm sorry, but I insist that you listen for 15 minutes every day. But if you do that, you don't have to call. You don't have to email. I mean, I like the interaction. That's what it's all about. I like to hear your ideas and your thoughts, but you don't have to. As long as you're listening for 15 minutes every day, you too can be a member of Farwell's Force. We'll assign you a number, and it's yours forever. Force for good, force for change, force to be reckoned with. Drop me an email anytime or call in and say, I want to be a member of Farwell's Force. We'll take care of you. The email is mike@570news.com. I love where Kyle is coming from when he talks about domestic tourism and these great places in Canada that you can go see. I'm here for that. I haven't seen nearly enough of this country to satisfy my Canadian soul. The thing that chafes my chaps, though, is you can be in the States and you'll get those offers to fly for $49. And I know the airline industry is completely different, but come on with your coming on. I remember when we got, I think it was COVID times, free access. You didn't have to have a park pass to go to Canada's national parks, which is beautiful. Can we get some discount airline fees? How about, can I have 2 liters of pop? Can I get some discounts on airline tickets? Because for me to fly from here to beautiful British Columbia is going to cost me a lot more money than I usually like to spend, if you know what I mean. I'll spend it, but come on. Can we make it a little more accessible? Yes, we are a vast land mass. I get it. But Jiminy Christmas, with the money that they charge you to see this country. I would like to see more of it. I would like it to be a little more economical as well. My 2 cents on that. Liam is next with us on Talkback. Good afternoon, Liam.
Hello, my friend. I am member 224, and I have a lot on my mind right now, so I'll just get into it first. If I become a successful businessman, maybe I'll try and do something similar to Virgin Airlines and come up with some sort of discount airline that can help travel around Canada, because I've been privileged enough to visit 8 out of 10 provinces in this country, but I definitely would love to visit Alberta and Newfoundland, Labrador, and also check out British Columbia again, because it's such a beautiful country and there's so much to see. I still think about my time in Saskatchewan and just how different it was. It was a nice trip I had there 11 years ago.
Love to hear it, Liam. And I've actually, now you make me think about it, I've been to every province. I haven't spent enough time in them, though. I'd like to go and visit and explore some more, especially some of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure. And happy Joe Bowen Day, Mike. I wanted to give a shout out to you because you are one of my inspirations behind me trying to work hard to bring play-by-play for the Waterloo Ravens. I couldn't have done it without the inspiration that Joe Bowen, you, and Sean Pafaro have done. And I especially like to say thank you to you and Sean for answering my questions about what I could do better and how to stand out to be a good play-by-play. So that's just one thing I wanted to say, just to get the mood up in this conversation.
All right, Liam, appreciate the call. I'm glad you found some inspiration and happy to answer questions anytime. And as soon as Liam said he was number 224, I glanced down because I keep the list here. I'm going to make it more official. I've started that process, but I'm one man with 2 markers, and it's going to take me a while because we're 250 strong if I haven't mentioned that yet. But I keep a list of every member of Farwell's force, from 00 George right up to Dawn at number 244. And then we've got some people that insisted on random numbers. We've got a 276, a 298, a 680, a 420. Yeah, I know what you're doing, Corey, at 420. I know exactly what you're doing with that number. We've got a 1542. I have no idea why. And a 2222. I think Bonnie just likes the number 2. But that's why I say 250 and counting, because we're at 244, including 00 George, plus these 6 randos, as the kids would say, with randomly assigned numbers. And listen, you can have your own special number if you want. I don't care. I like things in an orderly fashion, but clearly you get to do you when you are a member of Farwell's force. Dave is a member of Farwell's force. He's official number 47, and he's with us on Talkback. Hello, Dave.
Good afternoon, Mike. I want to give a huge, and I mean huge, shout out. So tell me when you're ready.
I am so ready, Dave. Bring on the huge shout out.
Holy Mackinac!
Well done. Did Dave just hang up? Dave just hung up. All Dave wanted to say was, I mean, who did it better, Dave from Cambridge or Joe Bowen? Happy Joe Bowen Day to those who celebrate. This is the Talkback Hour on the Mike Farwell Show, and we continue on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. answering phone calls, taking names, adding to the growing force that is Farwell's force in this community. Mike and Sylvia, welcome to the force. We are a force for good, a force for change, a force to be reckoned with. We get stuff done around here, Farwell's force does. Let me tell you, now beyond 250 members and counting who listen for at least 15 minutes every day. Just think of what it does for you. Sylvia makes it abundantly clear in her email. I love listening to your show. I think it's important to hear out different perspectives, to learn and collectively move forward in a positive way. Sylvia, I might make you the chief of Farwell's Force. That is exactly what we're here to do. That's why the force gathers for at least 15 minutes every single day. And every day from noon to 1, we open the phone lines to hear directly from you during the Talkback Hour. Jason is next. Good afternoon, Jason.
Hey, good afternoon. I love the show. Just going to provide a little different perspective. During COVID, I did get a chance to travel throughout Canada, and outside of COVID, I've been all over Canada. But my alternative perspective is this country is way too expensive. I can ski in Europe for a day, walk up to the window for a ticket, spend about $100 Canadian, 115 Canadian, which is what I've spent before, or I can go up to Blue Mountain and spend the exact same price. Now, on the food issue, I can go to Europe when I'm traveling. The food's a higher quality, a lot better, and I'm not just talking about fancy restaurants. I'm talking about, your restaurant on the top of the ski hill, not garbage food like you might find up at Blue Mountain. Now, going the other way and going to Australia, same sort of thing. Summer camping, you get about a 10% discount because of the dollar down there. Food's a higher quality. I will admit food may be a little bit more expensive down there. But you got beautiful beaches, beautiful people, everything. And to be quite frank with you, as much as I love traveling Canada and seeing, it's just a dollar goes a lot further in other places. You get more bang for your buck.
Fair points all around, Jason. And I always appreciate the different perspectives. I would say I've eaten many times at Blue Mountain and thoroughly enjoyed it. But to each his or her own. I get your point, though, broadly. And I don't think you're far off. Just ask my beloved. She probably is exhausted by me and my nattering about how ding-dang expensive things are. It is a relatively expensive country. Now, is that because wages are what they are and the standard of living is what it is? I haven't traveled extensively in other parts of the world. I have been to Europe on a couple of trips and seemed pretty nice there. So I get your point. I'll just leave it at that. I don't have the depth of experience to provide a whole lot more in the way of context. But as a born and raised Canadian who has traveled this country and enjoyed it thoroughly, yes, agree completely. It's pretty ding-dang expensive around these here parts. Conservative Charlie, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mike. Mike, I'm sitting here thinking I just can't phone in on Thursday to roast you.
What?
Because all the community work you're doing, I'd probably wind up toasting you than roasting you. I just couldn't do it. But
I knew that was going to be the next word out of your mouth, Charlie. But
small but.
Okay.
But Mike, if I was going to tease you just a little bit, I'd bring up about that. I might sound a little hoarse today because I was just cheering that football game on last night. But anyhow,
what football game?
You didn't hear about it?
No. What are you talking about? There was what football game last night?
Who?
Yeah. What?
You didn't hear about Pittsburgh beating Miami?
Does Miami still have a team, Charlie?
They're hot as a pesto. They won their last 5.
Oh.
But they beat them 28-15.
Huh.
You didn't know that.
I had no idea, Charlie.
Well, Mike, that wily future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers.
Come on.
He completed an astounding 23 of 27 passes, Mike. It's simply remarkable.
Charlie, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I did watch a little bit of that game. And those passes that Aaron Rodgers was throwing, like I could have thrown those little rinky-dink passes over
So you kind of told me a bit of a fib when you said what football game.
I did. I'm being honest now. I'm sorry for fibbing.
Okay, but being it's Christmas time, Mike, why don't you just send Aaron Rodgers a Christmas card and sign it? Your secret admirer, Mike. That would go a long way.
All right, Charlie. Thank you. No, I'm not. I'm very upset. I am with that football team because I think that Aaron Rodgers is embarrassing, but he apparently had a very good night last night. I did. I had it on in the background. I was getting some work finished up, and then end of the first half, I was done. I'm an old man, much older than Charlie apparently, because he can watch games and get final scores. I had to listen to Simon Bennett this morning on the way in, and I did because you can get the boy mad at his football team, but you can't get him to stop loving them. I've been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan since the Terry Bradshaw days, okay? And I still wish Terry Bradshaw was our quarterback. How is Terry Bradshaw older than Aaron Rodgers, or I get confused because they're both so damn old. Anyway, enough of that. Charlie did bring up something that is worth reminding you about, and he's very kind. I thought Charlie would have been first in line on Thursday for the Roast the Host Hour. Your Talkback Hour 2 days from now is going to be dedicated to my year-end review. But you are the boss, as I've told you many times on this show. You run the show. I'm just here in the host's chair. And maybe there are some things that you would say needs improvement. You're going to give me my report card. I'm going to sit here and take your feedback as we head into the holiday season. And who knows, maybe I'll be a better host in 2026. Maybe you're going to get the same crummy host in 2026. I don't know. But I'm ready and willing to take all of your feedback. On Thursday, it'll be the Roast the Host Constructive Criticism Roast Farwell Hour from noon until 1. My year-end review as provided by you. That's what Charlie was alluding to. But somehow he would rather toast me, and that's awfully nice to hear. You get the chance, though, and I'm opening up to it for Thursday. You can roast me all you want. Today, we continue taking your ideas on Talkback. Are you like Ontario Premier Doug Ford, and you're not traveling to Florida or anywhere else in the States? And anything else you'd like to discuss on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Thinking today on these comments from Ontario Premier Doug Ford when he was making an announcement yesterday in Niagara Falls.
It's going to be the first time I'm not going to Florida, but I talked to so many people. Don't let this guy, Trump, determine and ruin your life and everything. That's my personal choice. Maybe some families have gone to Florida their whole lives. Go to Florida. That's great. But I encourage you to stay here and support local tourism. But you can't let the one tyrant change our lives, right? You just can't let it happen. I'm doing it out of my own personal choice because I just can't do it. But don't let this guy change your lives. If you go down and you see, maybe their grandparents are down there. Maybe they're somewhere else.
There's Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, says for the first time in forever, I'm not going down to Florida. I'm not going to support that and be a snowbird like I usually am. Brian has an interesting take on it, writing an email to Mike at 570news.com. Ford was probably told not to travel to the States. Trump would probably have him detained because of the Reagan commercial. I doubt it. It would be, I know that Donald Trump is want to do outrageous things, but detaining a federal head of government or a fellow head of government, unlikely in my opinion, but I see where you're going with this, right? Because what's this about looking at the past 5 years of your social media history and whatnot as you try to cross a border into the States? Again, I did it a couple of times in the past week, and I've done it on previous occasions this hockey season. It's been fine, but I get the sentiment. And Brian thinks maybe the premier is acting on advice. Who knows? But I wonder if you're acting on similar advice or have just taken it upon yourself to divest yourself of tourism opportunities in the States. Toll-free Jay is with us on Talkback. Good afternoon, Jay.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for being a voice of comfort, because I unfortunately had to move. And I had no phone and no TV for 9 days. And I really just want to let you know what a voice of what you and Mr. Bowen and Shulmans do each day by making me feel comforted at this stressful time.
How are you doing now, Jay? Where did you move to?
Actually, I wanted to change my class. I'm over by Fairview Mall. We were in a new, a different complex than where we were before. It's for disabled housing.
Are you doing okay there?
Yeah, let's just say I've gone through some adventures that were memorable, but I had the comfort of your voice to get me through it.
That's very kind of you. Thank you for that, Jay. I'm here for you every day, pal.
And we will talk soon, sir.
Okay, I look forward to it. You take good care.
Like to, if I can, change my number.
Oh, you want? What number are you currently?
I'm number 21.
You are number 21. I see it right there. Toll-free Jay.
If I could I change it to number 412? There's a reason for that.
You're killing me, Jay. But you know what? I'm going to let you do this. That means I have to give 21 to somebody else.
Yep.
Okay, so 412 is going to be toll-free Jay.
Yep.
I'm making a note right now, and I'm going to reopen Farwell's Force member number 21 to somebody else.
Thank you for the help, sir, and we will talk soon.
Thanks, Jay. You take good care. Listen, first of all, that might be the first time anybody has told me that my voice is a comfort. I think I get the sense that I'm fingernails on a chalkboard to a lot of people. However, especially if you're in government, let me tell I'm just joking. I'm just joking a little bit. So I get frustrated sometimes, though. I just took the request to ditch number 21 and become number 412. And sure, let's just do it that way. But I can't follow along. We can't do too many trades here because I'm going to get confused. I confuse easily. So we'll do our best to remain in sequence. But Farwell's Force member number 21, one of the early membership numbers, is now suddenly available. If you'd like to claim it, all you have to do is listen for 15 minutes every day. Every day, it doesn't matter what 15 minutes. It can be 9 to 9:15. It can be 9:52 to 10:07. It can be 11:13 to 11:28. Doesn't matter, but it has to be 15 minutes every day. It can be the same 15 minutes, different 15 minutes, don't care. But I appreciate you being here as a member, a contributing member of Farwell's Force every day. Doesn't mean you have to phone. Doesn't mean you even have to email. But if you're here, you're listening, even participating passively in this show, you are a member of Farwell's Force. And if you want to be number 21, I got news for you. That number just became available. Jeff is with us on Talkback. Good afternoon, Jeff.
Good day, sir. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very good, very good. Just a couple of notes, and I'm sitting there trying to remember the second one. But the first one, it's funny with the premier. If you think back to COVID, don't go to your cottages. Don't go anywhere. But yet, where is he? At his cottage.
Yes, I recall.
And, oh, God, I can't think of the other thing I was going to mention.
It sounds, Jeff, like you're getting onto the idea of rules for thee, but not for me.
Oh, do as I say, not as I do. Yes, very much so.
All right, Jeff, appreciate the call. Listen, when you are elected to office, when you are in public life, then everything you do will be monitored and commented upon. And Jeff is not wrong. It was that time we were all being told to stay in our own jurisdiction. I remember, my gosh, as a motorcycle enthusiast, I remember being told that we couldn't go for motorcycle rides because, heaven forbid, we have some sort of unfortunate occurrence outside of our own jurisdiction and have to get healthcare support in another jurisdiction. Oh, that was a tough one. And I'm not going to tell a lie. That language that I'm forgetting the word. I'm not coming up with the word I want. But anyway, that advice changed not too long after it was first issued. I thought, what better thing could you do during COVID than get outside on a motorcycle, which is a usually singular activity. So I remember being in Guelph, but I never got off my bike. I didn't stop for gas. I didn't stop at Tim's. I don't think Tim's would have even been open at the time. But anyway, Premier Ford was, at the time, up in cottage country, snowmobiling, as I recall, when we weren't supposed to be going to any of the other jurisdictions. Jeff, are you back again? Did I leave you too soon before? I'm sorry.
No, I finally remembered what I wanted to say.
Attaboy.
So I'm not sure, but last April, we were in Florida and welcomed, no problem. We just went down to Vegas and spent 14 days. We did over 3,000 kilometers in the area of Vegas. And I'm telling you, they were so happy to see Canadians. And we are actually heading down this April again to Florida to enjoy. I've got timeshares, and we enjoy it. And we have honestly not had an issue at the border, not a problem with people. And there is a lot of them that voice their opinion as well. So that's all.
Okay, Jeff, appreciate that. And I'm glad you haven't had a problem at the border. In fact, I haven't heard from anybody who really has had a problem at the border. Afif did call the other day, but it sounded like his problems go back even before the worst of this started. So I wonder, I'm hearing that this is an issue and a concern for some. It hasn't been an issue for anybody that I know, but if you have a story that you'd like to share, that you had some difficulty at a border for whatever reason in this new era of Canada-U.S. relations, would love to hear that. And to Jeff's point, it's another thing that I would just reinforce. Even when I travel to Pennsylvania and Michigan with the Kitchener Rangers and I'm around the community, like, the people could not be any nicer. The people are not defined by their president. It's as simple as that. And I hope we remember that. I'm glad that Jeff brought that up. And I say that even for, I know 70 odd million people voted. I know it doesn't make them bad or evil. They might have some voters' remorse at this point, but just remember, they're just fellow human beings. And I have not yet encountered one who I find to be difficult. I haven't met every American, but those that I have met have been very kind. Mark, good afternoon. You're on Talkback.
Good afternoon, Farzy.
How you doing, Marcus?
Doing all right, bud.
Good.
I was listening to you talking about Hans falling off the tower.
Yes, sir.
What floor did he fall off, Mike?
Oh, wow. Is this like a diehard trivia question, Mark?
That's correct.
Okay. That's a very good one, because I know that John McClane, Bruce Willis took the elevator up to the unfinished floors. Then they set off the fire alarm. And so was that as high as they ever went? Did they go higher? I'm going to guess. You got me on this one. 27th.
You know what, Mike? You're wrong. It was the 25th floor.
Are you sure about this, Mark?
I'm sure.
Okay.
That means Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
How does that mean Die Hard's a Christmas movie?
Well, there's so many things about it that makes it a Christmas movie, Mike.
Stop it, Mark.
So many things.
No.
And the more you say it, Mike, you will believe it.
No, see, this is the problem. If you have to try so hard to convince people it's a Christmas movie, Mark, it's not a Christmas movie.
Okay, Mike. You are so stubborn. Okay, Mike.
Okay, Mark, thank you. I am stubborn, aren't I? I'm as stubborn as the day is long. However, because you got the 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50-50 raffle up to a $60,000 jackpot, I have joined you reluctantly, but officially, in the club of Die Hard being a Christmas movie. I agree. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Are you happy? And then I said, if we can get the jackpot in the 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50-50 raffle over $70,000, we're going to count down to Christmas together every day with my Hans Gruber falling from the Nakatomi Tower, apparently the 25th floor. I didn't know it was the 25th floor. And we're going to do that every day together. And let me tell you, the jackpot is over, well, it's over $78,000 now. And I have not yet done my duty today.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
I got to play some catch up because we started late, just started on Monday. Today's only Tuesday. We move Hans 3 more steps down, floors down the Nakatomi Tower. He's now 6 floors down. He is plummeting to his death as I use my Nakatomi Tower Hans Gruber following Die Hard countdown to Christmas calendar that you gave me. We're going to do this every day until Hans Gruber is dead. How does that sound like a Christmas movie to you? Nonetheless, I'm a man of my word. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and Hans Gruber is down 3 more floors from where he fell. He'll keep falling. Every day we will do this on the show because the Tree of Hope 50-50 raffle is more than $78,000. I just hit refresh. Hang on. $79,297. That's your take-home prize. That's how much Family and Children's Services of Waterloo Region is going to receive. And that's what this is all about. What a great time of year to be supporting family and children in our communities. And yes, you can win big. Tickets start for as little as $10. You can get 5 numbers for $10. All you have to do is go to facs5050.com. Best value on there is 500 tickets for $100. It's up to you. 10, 25, 50, or 100. Those are the denominations you can buy in. The draw is going to be made on Thursday morning. So time is running out. Get in on the jackpot now. More than $79,000. facs5050.com. Talkback continues on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. You see, this is what happens when you start buying into the BS, pardon my French. According to the Google, Hans Gruber falls from the 30th floor of the Nakatomi Plaza building. Mark just claimed he fell from the 25th floor, which of course would refer to the 25th of December, which would be another check in the box of Christmas movie. But see, you're trying so hard to make it a Christmas movie. Now you're making stuff up, unless the Google is wrong. I don't care what floor he fell from. We're counting him down every day until Christmas with our Die Hard Christmas countdown calendar. I have a hard time calling it an advent calendar when it's Hans Gruber falling from the top of the building. But our 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50-50 raffle has a jackpot of more than $79,000. So I'm a man of my word. We're going to keep counting it down. You're going to keep buying those tickets till Thursday morning. Robbie English, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Oh, my God, buddy. It's like, I was going to say, it's like we haven't spoken in weeks, but we actually haven't spoken in weeks.
We have not, my friend. The Rangers have been on the road. I haven't been home to take your calls on Rangers Talk.
And the last Friday home game, funnily enough, I was in the States. I didn't want to be, but I had to be for a music convention. So thankfully, they didn't bring me checking everybody's Facebook for the last 5 years until I got back. So didn't end up in...
Would yours have incriminated you?
Dude, if they'd have checked either of my Facebook accounts, the one, my normal one and my I'm in jail one is, I'd have ended up in Venezuela with the pirates.
Wait a minute. What are you doing with multiple Facebook pages?
Well, they used to put people in jail all the time, and I just couldn't do without it. So I just have a second account just in case I get put in jail by Zuckerberg and his boneheads.
You've got a Facebook burner.
I do. Basically, child of the 80s, you know?
I know. What a world we're living in. I can't believe this. Nobody in the 80s would understand that language, a Facebook burner.
They think they're the smartest, these people in power, but there's always a way to circumnavigate their stupidity. Honestly, there really is. So,
I love it.
I won't keep you. There's other people calling in. So a couple of things. It's the 25th floor because, to answer your question, the bomb was on the 30th floor, so there's no way he would be on the 30th floor.
Well, the diehard wiki fandom is saying 30th floor, so I don't know.
Well, he was going to die anyway then, so there you go.
Okay.
So my wife had never seen it. We watched it the other day. My beauty said, I've never watched Die Hard, so we did watch it, and it did confirm it's nothing but a Christmas movie. It really is. So let's put that one to sleep.
Stop it.
Go Canada tomorrow. We'll see you at the arena for the Sweden game.
I'm going to be in Sarnia with the Kitchener Rangers.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, good. I got a game to watch when I get home as well.
There you go.
And then lastly, a little bird has told me that the Grinch will be in Section 19 Reds this Friday. I don't know in what capacity, whether he's going to behave or not. I would think so. He behaved last year. I mean, he did get the crowd to boo Santa, so hopefully if Santa's there Friday, he won't be too disappointed. But, yeah. So apparently the Grinch will be there on Friday, and you have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Robbie. Good to hear from you. I'm going to squeeze in one more because we're running out of time, and I haven't heard from this guy in a long time. Andre, your last call, and I got like 40 seconds.
Awesome. I just want to say that, yes, it's a really hard time. I really like the Ellen Fishburne segment because it's a hard time for everybody, even if it's a happy holiday and faith and joy. Mike, my perspective, there's 85% of population that is good, but there's 85% of population that is also hurt. So just a reminder, be kind to everybody.
That's a great reminder, Andre. I wonder where you got that theory from, the 85-15 rule. Hey, I'll tell you what. I'm going to come back tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and maybe we can investigate that theory further and have more conversations, okay? Because that's what this show is all about. Engaging and interacting with you about the issues of the day. So tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., I'll return, and I hope you do too. Now You Know with Rob Snow is coming up right after this update from the 570 News Center. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.